The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey, you
What's
guys,
up?
it's
What's
Wednesday. Time for the episode.
Yeah.
You know.
Cursed objects.
Yeah. Well, this was like some leftover shit from the Urban Legends show.
Okay.
Because, like I said, well, not all of it is, obviously. Just mostly the paintings. Because remember when we did the Urban Legends show last week, and I was like, oh, I had like all these kind of cool paintings I want to talk about, and I didn't get to it. And then I was like, well, maybe I should just do like a whole cursed objects show, like including paintings and some other shit. Mm-hmm. So I put it in the poll and it won. Now, I shortened it up because prior to this, I had like a whole bunch more shit because, you know, I can't self-edit. And there was like a bunch of shit that I wanted to put in here that I thought was interesting.
Okay, no.
But, well, you might have to open that for her because it's closed. Because she's just kind of like, she understands that it goes through there, but, you know.
Okay.
But, yeah. So, what was I even saying? I lost my train of thought. Because Pookie was like, why is this door closed?
To try to get the door out. We're just trying to get in the groove here.
Yeah. DJ Maniac says, I have an Arlie Ermy doll that swears when you push a button on his back.
Yeah.
Where did you get that? Do you seriously have that?
Yeah, they made all kinds of weird shit.
That's my cursed object. Yeah. I love it. I mean, so there's like a bunch of stuff I wanted to cover, but, you know, obviously we didn't have time to, but I just like picked some shit that I thought was cool. So it's just kind of like Mummy's Curse, Hope Diamond, the paintings. I was going to do Screaming Skulls, but there's too many of those and they pretty much all do the same thing. So, you know, so I took most of those out. But I don't know, it should be fun. And like I said, if it's another one where if we don't get to everything, it's not a big disaster. But I did go through and like take out a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So I am just saying that. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Why isn't Tom wearing his cursed skull ring?
Oh, I forgot it. It's over in there. It's in the other room.
You haven't worn that for a while, actually.
No. It's actually a little bit too big. It kind of wants to fall off.
Mm. I have a ring like that somebody gave me that's like fucking giant. It's like a giant,
a little bit too big.
Like man's ring.
Yeah, and it won't
I'm
fit
like,
on
how
your
fat
thumb
do you
or
think
anything.
my fingers
Right.
are? Yeah. But
Esther's in there hoping that you publicly humiliate me again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, people are like, what? I missed that. Gotta understand something, man. Me and Jenny fight sometimes, especially when we're drunk. When I'm drunk, she really fucks with me.
Well,
when I'm at the club.
because you kind of like pick on me like a lot of the time, so it's like that's kind of like I'm trying to get you back.
A lot of it has to do with fucking strange shit that she's on. That has a lot to do with it. Fucking, she starts fucking manning up on me and fucking getting aggressive.
Well, you were the one that wanted me to take that shit, so
well, you know, it's fucking hormone replacement therapy works, but fucking on injection day, fucking a woman is gonna get fucking mean, you know.
It's messing my voice up. It's messing my voice up.
Well, that's why I took you off. Don't you know? Just let it all reset. It didn't.
Okay.
It just they'll do that a little bit, but it's temporary. You just can't run that for a long time.
Because I've noticed that like sometimes when I'm talking, like my voice keeps dropping out, and it's getting like kind of.
It'll go back.
Okay. And you said you thought because you heard me in here talking like recording something.
Yeah, I was like, her voice getting a little deep. It's time for her to come off that. Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't test. She's on regular HRT, which is 20 milligrams a week. That's standard for postmenopausal women. They can run that forever. It was other shit. You can't really be on that longer than a couple months, and it works. It's got to come off and on and off and on, and you can't live on that. But it's.
And I had been on it longer than you realized. I think was the deal.
Yeah. Well, it was more
because I don't know. I don't keep track of the shit. He just comes in and like fucking.
Well, it was 2 compounds back to back.
Oh, okay.
All right. Which some of the shit, it's all legal stuff. It's stuff that you can get here in Florida. If you're part of an HRT clinic, they'll prescribe it to you. Female doses are fucking tiny compared to men's. They're 1/10 because it just doesn't take. It's very cheap to mod a woman out on it.
We're a cheap date.
Yeah, they're very cheap to do. It's just the first one was oxandrolone, and that which is little pills. Some people know it as Xanavar. That's a girl steroid, but she's on that for a couple months, and then fucking you can do real small doses of Winstrol. And I realized that that was about 4 months back to back. The doses are tiny, but they're different compounds. It's fine. It's just after about 4 months, it's time to come off. You let all your fucking receptors fucking clear out, and then your receptors are like, where is that shit? And they'll start growing more of them. So 3 or 4 months later, when you cycle back on, it's a better response because the body has been looking for that. What she was on is very basic for postmenopausal HRT. The end result usually is to slim someone down, give them a more youthful appearance. But you can't live on that. It's cycle. Everybody knows about it. They've been doing it since the 50s.
DJ Maniac says that he sent you a video of his Arlie Irby doll in action. So we might have to see that.
Yeah.
I might need that for Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah.
Because I could just have him swear at everybody.
Yeah, but I'm real open about what I do. You guys know I've been on HRT. I told the fucking audience when I went on it, over how long has that been now? 2 years? 2 years.
I have no idea.
And
time means nothing to me.
If you're a man in your 40s or 50s and you're not on HRT, you're just dumb. It is life extension. You'll be a lot better. You'll feel a lot better. It saves you a lot of risk in terms of heart disease and from being overweight, to fight obesity. It just make you feel a lot better. Just look at Jack LaLanne and all the greats from the past. Guys that didn't abuse shit lived a long time. You could live into your 70s or 80s and fucking have a body like you're in your 30s. You'd be 75. I got videos to prove. There's a Chinese dude I'm competing with. I'm not competing with Stallone or fucking Arnold Schwarzeneggers and those fucks. Those dudes were burned out by the time they were 50. I'm looking at these Chinese dudes that are 75 that went on HRT when they were 40. Those dudes they didn't change. They look exactly the same. Just a little bit of age in the face, but they're built better than any fucking 30-year-old. And it's reasonable. They're not huge. They're just little fitness model dudes, and that's really what you want to be. You just want to be real fit, real healthy, real happy. Live a long time.
Zach says, my cursed object is the 20K acre in Hawaii that the goddess Pele ate when Kilauea erupted in 2018.
Yeah.
This was actually a really fun topic. Like I said, there's so much of it out there. I kind of wanted to because there's a lot of overlap between sort of cursed objects, haunted objects. It's kind of we did a show, fuck man, it was years ago now, but I think we did a show that was 4 horror movies that were based on allegedly real incidents. And I think we talked on that show, we talked about the Dybbuk box. You remember that? That was on one of the, it was on a Haunting or Paranormal Witness or something. And that was kind of one of those things that somebody bought it on eBay or whatever, and when you open it, demons are supposed to come out or whatever. And they'd made a movie about it. So we talked about that on that show. So I'm not going to repeat that. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about Annabelle or Robert the doll. I do have a couple other cursed dolls in there that I haven't talked about before, but we've talked about those on other shows. So I'm going to skip those. But I don't know, so because there's kind of a thing too where it's just kind of well, there's this object, but then there's just a haunting surrounding it. I kind of wanted to have it more of a thing where the actual object, whoever owns it or interacts with it, bad shit happens to them. That's more like a classic curse. But, there's a lot of wiggle room there. And I did want to do some cursed phone numbers because I thought that was kind of interesting, too. That was another thing that kind of came up during my research. Like I said, I had Screaming Skulls in here, but I didn't... I had to take them out because it was just too much stuff. So I don't know, but I think I got like a good combo of of stuff. So I think it'll be fun. I don't I don't have any cursed objects.
Gramthars in there saying he thinks Justin's He-Man doll fucking cursed him back in '87. People don't know what the fuck he's talking
How
about.
so?
I don't know what he's talking about. I mean,
Let's hear the story.
we grew up with a dude named Steve Rouse, and his little brother was Justin. The motherfucker was crazy. All right, he was funny as fuck. Little kid. He'd be down in the basement. Fucking, he had fucking He-Man dolls. He's talking to a little Chuck E. Cheese mouse, calling him Dwampa, and fucking.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the Dwampa story.
Crazy looking He-Man toys. I don't remember how Gramthars interacted with the He-Man toys, but he must have been down there and must have saw it. He had that fucking He-Man and that green tiger. He had all that. I remember it.
But but we don't know like how this toy actually like cursed him. We need to hear the story, man.
He's not saying.
We need to hear the story.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even see that comment, which is making me nervous.
Scroll down.
I am scrolled down. I can.
You got
it
to select it on all comments or just top comments.
Well, it goes to like top. Well, okay, yeah.
There you go.
All right, maybe.
There you go.
There we go. Pretty sure Justin's He-Man doll put a curse on me. It's still. Oh, it's still causing problems with. Yeah. Okay. So is that what's causing that problem?
That's his ED. Causing problems with your ED.
I don't know if I don't really know.
Get on task, man. You'll rock up like a fucking diamond cutter.
I don't know if that's such a good thing though. No. Vaginas all over the world just clenched.
Yes.
When you said
like
that.
Diamond cutter.
Diamond cutter, no thank you.
Look, man. Stop getting me to act it up.
Why? But
y'all are getting me to act up.
That's the whole fun. That's the whole fun. Is you?
She's always trying to get me to act up and shit.
Well, yeah, that's why people watch the show.
I guess so. You're not waiting for us to start fighting.
Well, it might happen. We haven't drunk all that much.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, there's like a bunch of like fun stories. Like I said, it's it's just like fun kind
of. Go
ahead
and hit that like
shit.
button, people. Help us out with the show. I'm sitting here just trying to fucking get some free likes and send me some money.
Yeah. Sounds shameless.
I got my damn Mexican shirt on. Made in Mexico.
You were hecho in Mexico.
Yeah. Made in Mexico. High quality shirt.
That is a very nice shirt.
Yeah,
actually.
bee's nest. No, but bee's nest. Fucking murder hornets gave me this.
Yeah, we still call them bee's nest.
Yeah, got that on the Mexican border. Got that from Boba Fett.
Camp Guy said, I once was at a college that had a very large mirror in the basement of the performance theater. They said someone hung themselves in front of the mirror and it was haunted. Yeah, there's a lot of... I was going to do haunted mirrors too, but then when I was reading about those, because there's more than one, but that would kind of like laid on the other end of that line where it seemed like the mirrors were just like haunted mirrors in the sense that you look in it and like see creepy shit. I kind of wanted more objects that were like, if you owned them, like bad shit would happen to you. You know what I mean? I know that's like a weird distinction, but... So I kind of felt like the haunted mirror, the cursed mirror ones were more like haunted mirror rather than cursed mirror. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's just... I was trying to narrow shit down, is basically what I was trying to do. And some of the shit that I came up with, obviously doesn't do that either. You just gonna spin around over there?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get in a good place like I'm on a talk show.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, you micromanage what I'm doing.
I'm Mike Douglas over here.
I gotta be in a certain place, and I gotta be in a certain place.
I just wondered. I wondered if you were like uncomfortable and needed like some other like.
Because I got this shit sitting right here, and I want to be able to see.
I'm looking out for your welfare. That's all I'm doing.
See, this is how it is. This is how it is.
Oh, you love it.
This is how it is. Trying to see what else is going on.
You love it.
All right. How's the people are still coming in? Where's Tila? Tila's not in. And
I don't know.
Sandra hasn't been here in a long time. I don't know. Something must have happened to her.
No, she commented on one of the kitty videos that I put up yesterday. So she's still alive.
Yeah, she's just not making the live shows.
Well, it happens because, like I said, especially if you're like in another part of the world, then if it's like fucking 2 a.m, I understand that people can't. We've talked about changing the times up or like doing like surprise ones or not doing them all at the same time. But I don't know. It's like I'm kind of two minds about that because I get what you're saying that like maybe if we do them at a different time,
crowds, man. Yeah.
then you're getting people that never get to see you live, which that's cool. But then like I kind of like having at least like a rough time of doing them so I can kind of like work around other shit I have to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's, you know.
Doing one real late in the evening. 3 o'clock in the morning is when we ought to start. Something like that.
You think nobody wants to see me at 3 o'clock in the morning?
It wouldn't be 3 o'clock in the morning. It'd be
I thought you meant 3 o'clock in the morning, like here.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning here, but the people that would be watching, it wouldn't be 3 o'clock in the morning for them.
No, I meant nobody wants to see what I look like at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what I meant. I don't want to have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and like put makeup on and shit.
We do it like fucking coming back from the club.
Then we'll look. Then like all my fucking. I'll be all greasy and drunk and
together.
and I'm just like, I want an egg sandwich. Why? You know what I mean? It'll be like that. Yeah. It wouldn't be pretty, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could like probably, I don't know, if we could like not drink that much and then come home. I don't know, because a lot of times when we come home, it's kind of a long drive now, and I'm always like really tired. So it would be kind of like a bummer. I don't know. We'll have to like work something out at some point. Yeah, Zach said, legit, that Hawaiian property was weird. Our electronics always died. See, I thought you were kidding. He's serious. Our electronics always died. Me and Mom were always fighting and in a bad mood. We had to sage it. It was like the opposite of a prayer wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All right. Gramthars is asking you a question.
What do you say?
Question for Tom. The 101st Airborne is being sent to the Baltics for the big showdown with Putin. What will they be doing?
Oh, man, fuck those dudes. Well, okay, the 101st ain't gonna do shit. The 101st, as it's set up now, and I got people that still fucking know what the hell's going on. 101st isn't really fucking battle ready. All right, it's there just for show. There isn't gonna be a war. This is all fake. If you look at what Russia's doing, it's not doing anything unusual. It's not doing anything that hasn't been doing in the past 15 years. It's just that they need this, or our side, or the globalist side needs this as a distraction to all these other problems, just to get everything else out of the damn news. It's fake. Nothing will happen. We're not fucking battle ready. We get our asses handed to us fucking against Russia. Couldn't even handle Afghanistan. Bunch of fucking primitive, fucking backward people with no money. The Russian elite's fucking troops are fucking. They're fucking badasses. You know what I mean? These are white people with degrees, but they're from the hood, and they fucking love being in the army, and they'll do things that fucking our chain of command would never do. The problem with the U.S. Army and our military starts at the fucking general officer level. Our generals are just shit. They're political generals. They're not even military men. They shouldn't even be in there. And then the officer corps is just fucked up. It's just political, and none of that shit's battle ready. And I don't know who they're recruiting. And fucking, as far as I know, recruitment's just fucking non-existent right now. That's why they want robots to replace everything. Just the 101st Airborne Division, that was my old unit, the 82nd. Those are obsolete conventional armies. They're not effective. They're expensive. They lose. That type of warfare went out really in the 80s. That shit's gone. I mean, that's the equivalent of putting on a white wig and a fucking 3/4 hat and lining up and shooting at each other with fucking muzzle-loading rifles. That's what you're dealing with there. Everything is mercenaries, terrorists, political action groups, propaganda. It's all fifth generational shit. But they're going to go down there and they're going to do nothing and just fucking scare people and try to use that as a justification for their incompetency, and then they'll fucking do something like pull the power on us and say, well, the Russians did it. It's going to be something like that. I don't believe a word they say. I'm done with the Empire. I'm like fucking Han Solo now. I'm done with the Empire.
Camp Guy says, I have to get up about every 2 or 3 hours every night to either pee or let the little dogs out. Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, I usually wake up every 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. And a lot of times I'll wake up between 3 and 4 and I can't go back to sleep. Yeah. So it's either because I have to go to the bathroom or because Pookie jumps on my chest.
Yeah.
Because she likes to run up.
That cat wakes us up religiously.
Hey, are you guys awake?
You guys up yet? Every 4 hours, cat checks on us. Fucking, I'll look over, like, I'll wake up and go, what the fuck was that? And look over and roll over and see her, and she's on her side and standing on her shoulder. It's fucking
Pookie stands on her, like looking at my face.
And he's looking at her, and then he'll look at me. She'll look at me. Are you guys up yet? And I'm looking at the fucking clock. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, Pookie, get down. And she's like, oh, you guys gonna wake up? I'm just fucking crazy. It's like a little kid.
She is, yeah. I can't, but you can't be mad at her, like I said, because
it's so
too
funny.
cute.
I can't.
It is very funny, and it's like even though it wakes me up, I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the last couple nights, it's been kind of chilly, so she's actually been pretty good. She kind of climbs up, but then she kind of settles down, and she slept like between my feet, like for almost 7 hours, which is a big deal for her. She didn't really move all that much.
Yeah.
Terry says, I like your necklace, Jenny. Thank you very much. Yeah, Camp Guy says, if I don't get up right away, my smallest poodle will just go pee in the corner of the room on the hardwood floor. Pookie usually just, like, she doesn't, like, wake us up for any reason. She just wakes us up, I guess, because she's bored or she's, like, checking on us. Sometimes it's because she's out of treats. And then she is kind of more insistent because she's like, hey, my shit's empty. But other than that, it's, like, not. She's just, like, hanging out. Or checking on us, I guess. All right, so do we have anything else we need to discuss before we get into the stories? Or yes, no?
No, just, Graham, the only reason why that shit's any good is we have an okay Air Force. The rest of the armed forces is very, very out of date. It's just, it's ceremonial. It's something from another era. But I'm done with that shit. I'm glad I'm not in there right now. I would never serve the fucking current chain. I wouldn't serve in the current fucking empire going back fucking 10 years. It just got worse and worse and worse, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't serve the American people. Not at all. It serves the 1% and they're not American. That's it. That's all I want to say about it.
All right, so you ready to talk about some fucking curses? Yeah. All right, you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna do a couple mummy curses. Now we're gonna do King Tut's thing because you know that's kind of a famous one, and I don't think we've ever talked about that. But one thing that I didn't realize until I started researching this show was that you know that other mummy that they found, Otzi.
Utsi, that's when they found up on top of the mountain.
Iceman.
Yeah. Yeah. I fucking saw whole programs of him. Know all about the dude. Even saw his little bow and his arrow and his little quiver of arrows and everything.
His little bow and arrow.
Yeah, it is little.
Yeah, I know.
It is little. He's a little dude. I think he was like 5'1".
Yeah, I can't remember how tall he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is also a curse associated with him.
Is there?
Which I did not know. Now I do know, and now you guys are gonna know.
Okay.
So, all right. So, little dude, the little Iceman, first found in 1991. Yeah, up in the mountains in northern Italy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he died during the late Neolithic period, Copper Age, as they called it.
Back in the old school honky motherland.
I mean,
original honky.
He's the OH.
That's right.
The OH. Oh my God, there's another T-shirt. Tom Ross, original honky.
Original honky. No, I'm not the original.
I know, but it's funnier.
I'm the abominable snowman now. Fucking honky Kong. That was the original ones. They were even smaller. Even smaller.
Well, I mean, you can't. He's living up in the snowy ass mountains, and it was. They think he died more than 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
5,300 years.
Yeah, I don't think he was living up there
was.
though. I don't think he was living.
No, I think he was maybe just
he got driven up there.
Yeah, because they do think that he died in an attack.
He had a lot of wounds on him that meant that he was fighting with somebody.
Yeah,
and he ran up there to safety, and he died making another bow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
he was up there going, "I'll get you, motherfuckers."
His bow.
Yeah,
so he was trying to make another one to come back down. He got driven off.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Yeah,
but
he might have been a bad guy.
That's true.
He might have been raiding somebody's
Well, I like to give
Settlement.
dead people the benefit of the doubt, especially if
yeah.
they're more than 5,000 years old. I don't know. He might have been a really nice person.
He was up there by himself with a bunch of wounds on him.
I don't think he was, though, because I think that later on, like in the mid-2000s, I think they found like some other...
signs of somebody else?
Yeah, signs of somebody else.
So he was up there with a party.
So
he
yeah,
died and they left him behind.
I guess so, because they're like, we're not dragging his ass
He was
back
probably
down.
in a war party.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't actually find that out until later. They thought he was by himself for a really long time. But yeah, so like I said, they found him in 1991. Very, very famous mummy that they found up there. But what?
More like a piece of beef jerky.
Well, yeah.
It's like freeze dried.
But I mean, mummy sounds a lot more
Sounds better, I guess.
better than jerky.
Yeah, a piece of beef jerky.
Man jerky.
Man jerky. Shit, you know how they make a big gay porn movie called Man Jerky? It's all these fucking...
Oh my god.
It's all these power tops fucking jerking on each other with their little fucking cop hats on. I got one. Where is one?
Yeah, where's your cocksucker
I'll get
hat?
I'll get it later.
Honestly, I would be shocked if there wasn't a gay porn flick called Man Jerky.
Man jerky.
There has to be.
I'm fucking the story
It's
up.
the
Hold on,
internet.
I'm gonna go get my fucking
What
hat.
else is
I'm gonna
new?
go get my hat. I'm gonna go get my hat.
He's gonna go get his cocksucker hat. I was gonna I'll wait till he comes back, because I just recorded a review for the Gaspar Noé film. What the fuck is it called? Irreversible, from 2002. And I have to tell Tom, but there's a gay club in that's in France and called the Rectum, which I thought was very funny. But you know what I mean? I love names of gay bars. I was
Ramrod.
well, no, I was telling him, it's like I recorded a review of the the infamous Gaspar Noé film Irreversible, which came out in 2002, and in that film, it's French, and there's a gay club in there that's called the Rectum. In English, it's called the Rectum. So I thought that was kind of funny. That's a fucked up movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience. It's a great movie, but it was not pleasant to watch, because there's some fucked up shit happens in that. But so yeah, where was I?
I gotta fix the hat.
I don't even remember.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we got distracted by Man Jerky. I remember.
Yeah.
So he's a mummy. I mean, you know, just that sounds classier than Man Jerky. He's like fucking. Sorry, I was just thinking of that fucking what was that commercial that they used to have, like this back in the 90s for Snap into a Slim Jim? What fucking wrestler was that? What wrestler was that? Snap into a Slim
The
Jim.
Ultimate Male, right? No, what was it?
Shit. I feel like I knew that. I know that, and I can't think of it right now.
I wasn't real big.
I don't know why I just thought
wrestling.
so from now on we're gonna call Utsi the Iceman, we're gonna call him Slim Jim.
Somebody in the comments would know who that was.
Yeah, I can't. I'll probably remember it like 5 minutes from now. Yeah. So again, like a bunch of people apparently that had to do with finding the mummy died mysteriously. Randy Savage, thank you.
Yeah, Macho
That's right.
Man.
Yeah, Macho Man Randy. Yeah, I knew he had like he was something name. I knew there was
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Dressed up like fucking Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
I still remember that commercial because I used to tape Mystery Science Theater off Comedy Central back in the 90s, and for a long time I still had those videotapes and they still had the commercials on them because I was too lazy to edit them out. So I remember seeing that commercial every time I'd watch one of the episodes. You know, I'd see that commercial again. So yeah, so a bunch of people that had to do with like the team that found or transported Utsi ended up dying in mysterious ways. First of these was a dude named Rainier Hen. Now this was in 1992, which was less than a year after the mummy was found. Now Hen was actually heading the forensic team that was examining the mummy, and he was actually the first. I think he was the first person that actually like touched the mummy. Or had like really close
Touch
contact
my
with it. Touch my mummy.
Love him. Need him. Stop. That's enough.
Oh my god. This is gonna take forever.
Brought to you
isn't
by Udo Kier.
it? Holy shit. Yeah. That's what I pictured. I pictured it in Udo Kier's voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently Rainier had picked up the body, the mummy, with his bare hands to put it in a body bag. Now, again, this was not even a year after the mummy was found. Apparently, Rainier Hen was going to give a lecture about the Iceman and was in a car accident and died. So he was the first victim of the supposed curse. All right? Not too long after that, there was another dude, a mountaineer, whose name was Kurt Fritz. And he was the one that had led Rainier Hen to the body. Kurt Fritz died in an avalanche. Now, he was climbing a mountain with a bunch of other people. And so, obviously, you know, everybody experienced the avalanche, but he was the only one that got killed, even though he was a very experienced mountaineer. Look at what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm becoming more gay.
I kind of feel like all you need to do now is just take that shirt off and then put on just like a bow tie.
Put my choker on.
Yeah, there you go. Put a little choker on with it. I have one over there with like a little silver ring on it.
And shit.
Yeah, I got one with a little silver ring on it. That I can like put a leash on it or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, so Kurt Fritz, this is the second guy that's supposedly a victim of the curse. He died in an avalanche, was the only member of his party that died, interestingly. A couple months after Fritz died, there was a guy who was he was Austrian, like a journalist. His name was also Rainier, but it was Rainier Helzel. Now, he was actually like a filmmaker, and he was the only guy that had been allowed to film the mummy being taken off the mountain. So a couple months after Fritz died in the avalanche, Rainier Helzel died of a brain tumor, and he was only 47 years old. And he had only just put out a documentary about, like, utilizing all of the film that he had taken, like, from the mountain and stuff. So that's 3. Then you have another guy, Helmut Simon. Now, this guy was not a scientist, but he was actually a tourist. He was German, and he was one of the original guys that had, like, found... He was up on the mountain. They were, you know, doing a mountaineering trip, and he was one of the guys that actually found the mummy first and, you know, told the authorities about it. He was actually found dead, frozen in the ice in 2004, not far from the spot where the mummy had been found.
Damn, he must have committed suicide.
They said there was a freak blizzard and that he fell off a mountain, and you know, so.
Damn, so he wasn't trying to take Uzi's place then.
I guess not, but
Yeah.
how fucked up is that? This is like, I don't believe in curses and stuff. I'm just saying that from right now, but some of this stuff is kind of creepy. I will say that. That's pretty creepy. And then, so he died. They found him, and then they have his funeral. Less than an hour after his funeral, this other guy named Dieter Warnecke, he was the head of the rescue team that had gone. Yeah, I knew you were gonna make a comment about that.
You know what's going.
He was the head of the rescue team that had gone to find the first guy. That guy also died of a heart attack. He just dropped dead. So, you know, again, weird. This is getting kind of weird. The year after that, Konrad Spindler, who was an archaeologist, he was the first guy that had, like, kind of, like, inspected the mummy's remains. Now, he is... I don't know if this is true. This might have just been a rumor. But he was, before any of this shit happened, he, you know, because there had been, like, all this media about, oh my god, the curse, because by now, like, what, 5 people are dead now that had something to do with finding the mummy, and that's kind of weird. So he's kind of quoted as saying, "It's all media hype. The next thing you'll be saying, I will be next." Guess what? He was. He had multiple sclerosis, and he ended up dying of that. So, you know...
Did he know he had multiple sclerosis?
I'm not really sure, actually. I'm not really sure. But...
Multiple sclerosis isn't fatal?
Well, I guess in that case, it was a complication.
MS,
Yeah,
that is, I think, eventually fatal. I was thinking of scoliosis of the spine. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, scoliosis is not fatal.
Oh!
Ow, my back hurts. Well, do you remember in the 70s, for whatever reason, they were really, like, worried about scoliosis.
Yeah.
And I remember being in, I guess it was junior high.
Yeah, they're constantly looking for it.
Yeah, like, so whenever you were at PE, like, you always had to, like, you take your shirt off and, like, just stand there in your bra, and you had...
your back straight.
And you had... Well, no, you had to, like, bend over at the waist and put your hands together, and then bend over, and they, like, somebody came and, like, looked at your spine to see if your spine was straight.
Yeah, as if they could do anything about it. It's fucking funny.
I mean, I knew somebody that had it kind of bad, and they actually did have to wear a brace for a while, and then it did get better. But it seems like most of the time, I don't know. I know that it's a problem that some people have and it's really bad, but it's just, you know, it is kind of like crippling. But I kind of feel like, what a weird thing to test for when it seems like most of the time it wouldn't really be all that much of a big deal. I don't know. It's just very, very strange.
Terry's asking, curious to know if there's any videos out there that claim to be cursed if you watched them. Yeah, I think there was, but the videos they're talking about, wasn't the one where that guy made that creepy ass movie that was fucking totally unintelligible, but it was just creepy as shit, black and white? Wasn't that supposed to be cursed?
Which one?
I don't remember what it was called, but it was on the early internet. Started seeing it in fucking late 90s, early 2000s, where they had, it looked like an old black and white silent film, and it was just really fucking creepy. You couldn't tell if it was them. If you don't recognize it, you talked about it before.
Is it Begotten?
Might be Begotten. I don't know. It's where
That came out in 1991.
91. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I mean, that was an actual movie, though.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. I've seen it.
Wasn't that supposed to be cursed?
Not that I heard, but it's, you know, it very well might be.
Bits of it would show up on the internet. People didn't know what it was, and it just was real fucking creepy.
It is creepy, but like I said, if you don't, that's what's kind of interesting is that a lot of times, you know, I used to see, like, back in the old days, like in the early days of the internet, where you would see, like, or the early days of YouTube, I should say, like mid-2000s. So you would see, like, all these, like, weird, like, little compilation videos of, like, creepiest shit we found around the internet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff they put in there was just
from movies.
Clips from movies, but they weren't movies that were popular enough that most people would recognize them, and most of them had clips from Begotten in there. Which, like I said, that was what's that dude's name? Elias Merhige, or however you pronounce his last name. He was the same guy that made Shadow the Vampire. And yeah, so he put that out in 1991. It was supposed to look like an old, you know, it's supposed to look like an old silent movie. It's a silent movie, but it came out in the 90s, and it is creepy as shit. It's very, like, nightmarish. Another clip that turns up in a lot of those kind of, like, creepy, you know, videos and stuff back in the mid-2000s is that scene from Extra.
Yeah.
Where that alien,
backwards, the alien,
where the alien with the backwards legs, like, runs across, which is a really creepy scene. But I've seen that. I've seen, like, paranormal channels, like, putting that up on their thing as, like, an ostensibly real creature sighting. And I'm like, that's totally from a movie. That's from Extra.
Yeah, there's one out there that mixes up with that Extra thing of a video, and it's from Brazil, of what looks like a creature walking across the ground downtown Brazil. And it looks fake or something, but it isn't. It's real. It's a person in Brazil, a guy, that has a genetic disease that makes him four-legged, and it does look like an alien dog or something walking. Have you seen that one?
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's real creepy looking, but people go, "That's fake." No, it's real. It's a person walking on all fours, and the arms and legs are short, like a foot long, each one of them, and just the way the body's real arched backwards and stuff, just crazy looking. It looks like that thing from Extra. But unfortunately, that's a real person.
Yeah.
It's just a person walking home with that disease on all fours.
That would suck a lot.
Yeah. And, like, the feet had feet that could face the right way so you could walk on all fours.
I have seen other people with that disorder as well.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's not special effects. People are going, "That's fake." No, it isn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I told you, like, several years ago, I read a book called Mutants, and it was basically, you know, it was genetic science. So it was, each chapter was telling about different chromosomes, of, like, what would happen if this particular thing went wrong on this chromosome or whatever.
Yeah.
And some of the shit in there, one, the disfigurements and stuff like that were horrifying, and two, they were, like, way more common than you think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the ones, I can't remember, like, any of the numbers, but I remember, like, reading some of the shit and being like, holy fuck, it's only, like, 1 in 500 births or something, which is, like, nothing. It's just, it's scary. So, DJ Maniac says, it's like the old Skinny Puppy video for Warlock. It was banned for years, and no one knew what was on it. Turns out it's all horror movie clips they couldn't secure the rights to.
Okay.
That's what I mean. I kind of feel like that there was so much of that, and, you know, there are so many kind of obscure horror movies back in the day, and if you could kind of, you know, before everybody could see pretty much anything they wanted to and could figure out where it came from. Particularly, like I said, in the early days of YouTube, people were posting all kind of like movie clips as real shit. You know what I'm saying? And Extra, that's like the example that I feel like the most, because that came up on like a bunch of different
Jason
paranormal
comes up and
sites.
says Tom looks like the village people. I look like the. She's saying I look like the Indian guy.
Collectively, like the village people.
I look like the Indian guy. I look like the lineman, or what do I look? You know.
Okay.
Yeah, I look like the village people, like all of them.
Yeah, all of the village people.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I guess he wasn't here for the beginning of the show.
Where
He
you
jumps in.
where you decided
Where I
that you were gonna-
decided to wear this. It's okay. I'm wearing this shit for Zach and my gay fans. All right.
Thank you.
Hey.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
Oh, of course they appreciate this shit. They know a hot motherfucker when they see him.
He started already. He started already.
You all started this shit.
I know.
I'm gonna finish this shit.
Like I said, you let him have more drinks, he's gonna be back there gyrating.
Fucking whores. I'm
Grant-
trying. The creepy ass phone going on.
I know, I love it. I love it's like this horror movie music
Yeah.
over there. That's what actually the app I downloaded was all different, like creepy horror movie ringtones.
I'm looking at myself on the camera, and the only thing I fucking need is an eye patch. One of you fucking bitches need to send me an eye patch.
I think you need a fuzzy eye patch.
Yeah, like an eye patch.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll be even fucking more hardcore. The gays would love it even more.
And then you could put like a big scar on the side. of your
Yeah,
face,
and then need a
too.
big fucking cigar and shit. I'd be like standing up like this.
In the background. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gramthars Hammer said, pretty sure 90s music is cursed. Korn, Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Zach says I'm still not his type. Zach, you fucking fickle bitch. Zach wants to change.
Oh, are you upset?
Yeah, I'm fucking.
Zach broke
now
up
my
with
fucking
you.
now my fucking sensibilities are hurt.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my god. Why does it keep... The horror movie keeps calling
Yeah.
me. Billy Lean says, the Busby chair is my favorite cursed object. Oh, I'm going to get to that. I think that's one of the last things on my list, though, but I'll definitely
Murder
get
Hunter
to
says
that.
assless chaps. How many times do I have to fucking tell you? All chaps are assless. If they weren't assless, they wouldn't be chaps. You wear chaps over your fucking jeans.
It's just more fun to say
Yeah,
assless, though.
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, you know. It's just more fun to say. That's all. Murder Hornet returns. I stole a real eye patch from a one-eyed dude. I'll send it next week. And
I'm gonna say anything I need is a mustache. Now I'm gonna get one of them things that look like a Max von Sydow fucking Fu Manchu from fucking
yeah, what do they call
Flash
it?
Gordon.
What do they call that? A Van Dyke?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
don't
called
know,
a Van
yeah.
Dyke?
I
Like that,
actually
that little thing with the pointy beard.
I actually considered growing one out, but man, I always shave in the shower and fucking I get in this bad habit of just fucking being in the shower and shaving without thinking about it. I go, oh, that's right, I was gonna let shit grow out.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about that for one time, and
Yeah.
then I was just kind of like, I think maybe you let it go for like 1 or 2 days, and I was like, what
just
happened to
I
that?
forget about it. Yeah. I'm in the habit of just fucking shaving in the shower. I shave my head too in the shower, so I'm in the habit of doing that. I shave my whole body in the shower. I got a fucking video up on fucking OnlyFans for that. Zach got Zach's footprints all over it. All his likes and shit.
Zach said,
Zach and half of the gay army.
Zach
from
said,
101st.
Zach said if Tom was a tall ginger Danish guy with the same outfit, we'd be having a different conversation.
No, Zach, you know you like Jewish dudes. Fucking, he dates Jewish dudes. Yeah. Little good Jewish boys with their yarmulkes.
I haven't seen a yarmulke
Yeah,
in
it's
a
little
very long
yarmulkes.
time.
Yeah. That's the gay version of a fucking Catholic schoolgirl. That's what all that is.
All right, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where was I? All right, so this guy here. Now, this is what you should do. Like when several people have died from a supposed curse, don't go out there in public and be like, it's all bullshit. It's, what's it gonna get me next? Yeah, because then it did. It's just like a fucking movie. So yeah, that guy died too after he said, that he was gonna be next. Haha. So the next guy was a guy named Dr. Tom Loy. Now, he was the one that carried out the DNA analysis, and he was actually the one that discovered that that Utsi had not been alone when he died, so that was kind of like a big deal. So he was actually writing a book about this very thing, like about all these discoveries that he had made, when he was found dead in his home in Brisbane, presumably Australia, at the age of 63. Not really sure what he died of. They said he'd been in good health prior to that. So they just found him dead. Don't know if it was a heart attack, stroke. I don't really know what it is. But so that's 7 people, if you're counting, within not really that long a time. Like I said, I don't believe in this stuff, but that is kind of creepy and weird. But the thing about curses, though, and I'll kind of get into this when we talk about the King Tut curse, too, is that, yeah, when you look at all the people that, you know, had something to do with finding this mummy, finding it, you know, extracting it, studying it, writing books about it, whatever the hell, filming it, that's a lot of people. So within any large enough group, you know, you're gonna get like some deaths just from a statistical point of view. And I kind of feel like people don't take into account, too, like all the people that had to do with finding the mummy and stuff like that didn't die, that just, you know what I mean? Which was probably a lot more. And like I said, we'll talk about that, like, too, with the King Tut thing, because the King Tut curse is, like, super, super famous. But when you kind of, like, look at it, yeah, it's weird that, you know, X amount of people died that had something to do with that. But when you think about all the people that had something to do with it that didn't die, it's, like, a way bigger number. So it's just, you know, statistics. That's all it is. I mean, it is kind of weird, like, how that one guy, like, died sort of where the mummy was. Like, just from falling off a mountain and then freezing in almost the same spot. That's weird, but, you know, like, coincidences happen. So yeah, so the legend is still continuing. He's, I guess the Iceman, you can still see him at the museum, I think, in Bolzano, Italy. And he gets, like, a whole bunch of visitors. I mean, unless it's been closed since, but you know, as far as I know, you can still go see him. All right, so let's talk about another mummy. Let's talk about King Tut. Now, one thing I will note, I do kind of feel like a lot of shit, like with movies and stuff like that, is, you know, mummy's curse, this and that. But in real life, most tombs don't really have curses on them. That's really, I mean, it has happened. They have found some tombs that had curses on them. But it's not really all that common. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel like maybe that's more of like an invention of, or, you know, they took something that was like happened once in a blue moon and like blew it up into this big thing. Like every single tomb that you find like has a curse on it now. There are a couple, you know, mostly from the Old Kingdom. Like you do like this one, and it's funny too because the curses didn't get really bad until later. I kind of feel like the old ones were kind of like, there was like curses, but then it wasn't like for death or anything. They're just like, well, you know, you won't have any kids or, you know, shit like that. It was just kind of lame stuff. But there is a tomb of Anktifi, who was around the 10th dynasty. And his tomb does actually have a curse on it, sort of. It says, any ruler who shall do evil or wickedness to this coffin, wickedness to the coffin, may Hemin, who was a kind of local deity, not accept any goods he offers, and may his heir not inherit. So, it's a curse, but it's not really, it's like, nobody wants your shit. The end. If that's like the worst that could happen. So, you know what I mean? They're all kind of like that type of thing. There's also another one, Kentika Ikeki, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, from the 6th dynasty. And his curse says, as for all men who shall enter this my tomb, there will be judgment, or I guess like some kind of impurity, like it's just the word impure. There will be judgment, and end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him. So I don't really know if he's implying that he's going to kill the person, or if he's going to grab him by the neck and be like, and, you know, just like scaring him or whatever. So, like I said, not super, super common. Now, when they very famously found the tomb of King Tutankhamun in the 1920s, the story went around that that there was a stone in front of the tomb that had, you know, this curse on it. And usually this curse is quoted as, death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. Bada bada bing. I added that last part. That's actually not true. That was like a later kind of fabrication. There was actually no curse on Tut's tomb. It didn't say any of that. But that kind of got, added to the story later after people started dying. So you got Howard Carter, the Egyptologist, and Lord Carnarvon, who was the guy who was, funding the expedition. So they opened the tomb in 1922, and then weird shit started happening, apparently. So you have another Egyptologist, James Breasted. Yeah, I knew you. It's, again, every time I go through the notes, and I'm just like, oh, Tom's going to chuckle at that. He's breasted. I mean, men have breasts, too.
Yeah, I ain't. Where do they get this shit?
That was his name.
All right.
I didn't name him that. That's his name.
How did that name appear? The motherfucker must have been working out. He must have been jacked. He had big old fucking pecs. And they go, he is breasted. That man is breasted. Yes, he is breasted. And then you inherit that name.
Maybe that's what it was. I'm not.
A good thing I didn't inherit. If I inherited the name of my grandfather, because that motherfucker had forearms like Popeye, they would have called him Tom the Popeyed. The Popeyed. Some weird shit like that.
Oh, that'd have been really funny if that had been your last name.
Yeah, he said I heard that from a lot of his friends. He had forearms like Popeye. Yeah.
Could he squeeze a spinach can and then eat it out of there?
That little dude, I heard stories about him, never met him. He was dead by the time I was born, He died when my dad was a teenager. Just saw photographs of him. Part of his life, he owned a hobby shop in Mississippi, and he was like a champion thrower of model gliders. He used to like to make model gliders. Mm-hmm. And he would win all kinds of championships in the local area because he could throw those gliders fucking further than other people could, and it was because he had the big old forearms, evidently. That's the story. But he could make balsa wood gliders.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, models.
Yeah.
They were like real fucking, they had like 7-8 foot wingspans.
Yeah, I remember having one of those from from a toy store back in the old day that you kind of put together yourself.
Back in the early days, you're talking about 50s and shit. You had to make them. You had to cut them out of sheet wood, balsa wood sheets.
Yeah.
All by hand and glue them together.
Yeah, I think later on, I had one that you just bought all the stuff pre-cut and then you just put it together yourself.
Yeah, no, that's not what they were talking about back then. It was, the model was nothing more than a bunch of sheets of fucking balsa wood and a bunch of paper plans, and you cut the plans out and pinned them onto the balsa wood, cut it out with a X-Acto knife. You laid them all out and glued it all together with Elmer's glue. It took weeks to make one, and it had spars and supports. It was just like making a real airplane. Yeah, it had as many, it had hundreds of parts, and just to make this little glider. I would never have the patience, but back in those days, they had patience for that.
Well, I mean, they didn't really have
much
all of these other distractions and stuff, so they took, they would do stuff that took
But he owned a shop that sold all kinds of stuff like that. He owned a lot of shops over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a grocery store. No, his dad owned a grocery store. He owned a photography shop and a hobby shop, and then a gun shop with guns and fishing equipment and stuff. Sporting goods shop.
All right, so let's get back to old Henry Breasted, James Henry Breasted.
Yeah.
James the Big Breasted.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Yeah, so thank you, Zach.
What is that?
It's interesting how ancient Egypt inspired makeup and fashion decor in the 20s, and that look would filter down to inspire goth style later on. Yes, that's absolutely true. That's why you got a lot of ancient Egyptian looking. After they found the tomb in 1922, ancient Egypt style totally had a moment. You know what I mean? With all the eye makeup and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And they were into that since the late 1800s.
Yeah.
People were into Egyptology. It wasn't. They couldn't read any of those hieroglyphs until the time of
Napoleon,
when he found the stela,
the Rosetta Stone. I've seen that in London.
And then they were able to piece together what all that stuff said. So there was a whole scene of doing seances and fucking magic and underground Raleigh type shit based upon ancient Egyptian magic, because you could bullshit your way through it because they didn't know what any of that stuff said. They just knew it was a great civilization that did all this neat stuff and left all this stuff behind. You could use your imagination on it. if you look at it now, it's pretty mundane. No, it was just a great civilization, like all the other ones, Rome, and eventually America will be remembered like that for a while, probably, But yeah, they had a good look. They had a look to some of the drawings in the New Kingdom. Kind of looked Art Deco, which was real popular in the 20s. So it kind of came back into fashion. It kind of merged. But it wasn't always like that. Just 20s. 20.
I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of, ancient Egyptian artifacts. Like, they have, like, a huge section at the Met in New York. And, they have big chunks of, like, tombs and stuff like that. And that shit is, like, amazing. Yeah. And a lot of it is, like, was really well preserved.
Yeah, and it had kind of a futuristic look to it.
Yeah.
They had a motif going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's interesting how consistent their artwork, because obviously it was, thousands of different artists probably, but they really had kind of, you can tell the difference between different dynasties and stuff, but it's not really as different as, the look of it was like very consistent.
Old Kingdom and Middle Kingdom didn't quite have the look you're talking about. Most of the look that you're talking about was New Kingdom. And that was all Valley of the Kings, that era. And the pyramids, which, some of those pyramids didn't have that look. Took them a long time to perfect that.
Yeah, because some of the early ones were kind of like janky looking.
Yeah, they weren't pyramids really, not perfect pyramids.
They were just kind of like a pile of rocks.
Yeah, and they were like different angles in them and shit because they were making it up as they were just kind of making those up as they were going. They didn't have a science for them. It wasn't until later when the Great Pyramids down the Giza Plateau, those were built upon the science that worked. It took them a while to figure that out. There's lots of them.
I'm just laughing because I'm like thinking of like the king that commissioned like some of the first pyramids, and he comes out to the work site to look at it and he's like, not really what I was expecting, but noble effort, I guess.
Yeah. There was a whole industry making those.
Yeah. I just like that. He comes out and he's like expecting like this really cool, like fabulous, and it's just kind of like, it's like, it just looks like a big pile of fucking rocks. But so here's Breasted again. Now he didn't chuckle that time, okay? No. So Breasted, he was working with Howard Carter, right? Now he says, this is his story. He says, not too long after the tomb was opened. This was supposedly like the beginning of the curse or whatever, even though nobody died. Well, not a person died in this, but So he says that Howard Carter sent a messenger back to his own house, like on some kind of errand or so, like, hey, go get me something or whatever. Now, the messenger said that when he got close to the house, he heard something that sounded like a human cry or something that sounded like that. So then he goes in the house and he sees that there's a bird cage in there. And inside the bird cage is a cobra. And inside the cobra's mouth is Howard Carter's pet canary. So the story went around that the cobra, which is actually a symbol of the Egyptian monarchy, was invading the house of Howard Carter, the guy who had defiled the tomb, and went in there and ate his fucking canary. You know what I mean? Because that was like supposedly the same day. So this was actually reported in the paper at the time. Sounds like a fabrication. It sounds like a bullshit story. I mean, it's a good story, but I don't think that shit really happened. I mean, how the fuck would a cobra get in your... I mean, I don't know. I guess it could happen, but that seems a little coincidental. So like I said, this was reported, and it was supposedly like, oh shit, we've kind of like, fucked around with forces we don't understand. Here comes the cobra. Ancient Egypt's gonna come kick our asses. Not too long after that, what are you looking at?
What happened to that RGB?
Oh, I don't know. It's been on for a really long time. Maybe it just burned out.
Maybe it went out.
I mean,
Go ahead. Let's see if I can get it better.
Yep.
It's got power.
Larry Barton says, noble effort, LOL. He probably slaughtered those workers. Yeah, he probably did. He comes and he's like, what is this bullshit? And he just kills all of them and then get another crew in here. I want it straight like a pyramid. But yeah, so the first person that died, I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. Was it blue?
I don't really remember, honestly. I leave them on all the time, so okay. I don't really know.
All right.
I mean, it's good enough. I don't think it was, but it doesn't really matter.
All right.
You know. He's back there fucking with it. That's really weird. Maybe maybe King Tut did it.
I don't know what happened.
King Tut did.
That makes sense. More like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first person that died, the first person's death that's attributed to the King Tut's curse is Lord Carnarvon. One of the first people, him and Howard Carter were the first people into the tomb, and Lord Carnarvon was also the guy that funded the expedition. Earlier, before the tomb was opened, he had actually been bitten by a mosquito. I think it was on his face, like on his cheek. And later, he actually, while he was shaving, he actually cut the bite open. And it ended up getting infected, and he got blood poisoning and died of it. Now, the story goes that when they did an autopsy on King Tut's mummy, that he had a healed up wound on his cheek. But they didn't know, they couldn't remember like which cheek like Lord Carnarvon's bite was on, but it kind of went into the lore that he got this bite on the mosquito bite on his cheek that was in the same place that King Tut had one. You know what I mean? So there was that kind of whole thing. But I mean, it seems like a fucked up way to die, just getting a mosquito bite and then cutting it open when you're shaving. Oh, oops, and then you get blood poisoning and fucking drop dead. But you know what I mean. So yeah, that happened. That was the first death. And then after that happened, and like I said, the story about the cobra had been reported. Then Lord Carnarvon died. And of course, the media was like, what the fuck? And everybody was like, mummy's curse. And then Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, famously, who was, he created Sherlock Holmes, but then he was like really into paranormal shit too. Like he was all into spiritualism and whatnot. So it's weird because Sherlock Holmes was like so logical, but Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was like so gullible, which like that, I don't know, that always like cracks me up. Him and Houdini were like good friends though, even though they had completely opposite views about spiritualism. But that's a whole fascinating, we should do another show about that. I think we did one about Houdini a long time ago. But so he thought, his theory was that Lord Carnarvon had died because they had loosed some elemental spirits from the tomb, because apparently the priests that had buried Tutankhamun had like conjured up these elementals like to guard against like whoever was opening the shit. And so Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a grown-ass person, believed that elementals were in the tomb and killed the dude with a mosquito bite. So there you go. 1925, another dude, an anthropologist named Henry Field, he went with old Mr. Breasted, and they went to visit the tomb. Now, he said that Howard Carter had given his friend, Sir Bruce Ingram, this present. And the present was a mummified hand, presumably from the tomb. Was it Tut's hand? Was it one of his slaves? No. I don't really, probably not. No. Yeah, because the mummy would have been too valuable. So, but it was a mummified hand, and it had a scarab bracelet on the wrist. Now, apparently there was a message on the bracelet, I don't know if this is true or not, that said, "Cursed be he who moves my body, to him shall come fire, water, and pestilence." Again, sounds like bullshit. Curses, very, very rare in real Egyptian tombs. I don't know if that was really there. That seems like it was added post facto, I'm just saying. But apparently Bruce Ingram, not too long after he got that present from Howard Carter, his house burned down, and then they rebuilt his house, and then it flooded. So, again, sounds like a story. I don't really know.
It flooded, but what type of flood are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Like a flash flood? I'm not sure.
Were you talking about some water ran into it? What are you talking
See, that's the thing, too. And I read this, like somebody pointed this out, that when you're talking about curses, it would be one thing if everybody that touched, X item, whatever, died a horrible death, like, immediately, or, within 24 hours or something. Yeah, that would be maybe something to investigate. Right. But a lot of curses seem to work like you don't necessarily even have to die. You just have to kind of suffer misfortune, and it's not even just you. It could also be your family members.
Well, shit, that means
which, like that's what I mean. So honestly, like it could be. So that's like a huge pool, not only of people, but it's like a huge pool of like possibilities and of time, because there's not really a cutoff date.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
You wait around long enough, something bad's going to happen. The curse doesn't have to
right,
be...
because bad things happen to
Yeah.
pretty much everybody. Like, if you wait around long enough, I hate to tell you.
That's not right. I'm going to fix some of this.
Okay, he's going to fix it.
I'm going to fix it.
But, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, I like reading about this stuff because it's creepy, but I don't really think that, you know, and some of the stuff I think was added later just to make it a better story. Because some of this stuff is not real, you know, not real sourced. So a next guy who supposedly died from the curse was George J. Gould I. Now, he didn't really have anything to do with, like, you know, opening the tomb, but he did actually go visit it. But he apparently got a fever or some kind of illness while he was in the tomb, or that's what they always say anyway, and he ended up dying in the French Riviera in May of 1923, which, like I said, yeah, about a year or so after the tomb was open. Another guy who was on Carter's excavation team named A.C. Mace, he actually died in 1928, and see, now we're going like 6 years out, okay? So we're getting like less and less plausible as it goes on. He actually died of pneumonia, I believe. But like I said, that was 6 years after the tomb was open. This one's pretty weird, though. Captain the Honorable Richard Bethel, who is Howard Carter's secretary, he died in 1929. Again, 7 years after the tomb was open. So, Now, he died in bed in a club in Mayfair. So I guess it's London somewhere. And Wikipedia says the victim of a suspected smothering. They didn't say whether the smothering was accidental, like he just rolled over in his sleep and like the pillow suffocated him, or whether some motherfucker came in his room and suffocated him with a pillow or something like that. But yeah, so he smothered and maybe was murdered. Now, Howard Carter, who you'd think would be, if he believed in any of this stuff, which he didn't, would have been like, well, shit, man, I was the first one in there and it's my name associated with it. So you'd think if the curse was going to get anybody, that would get him, but it didn't. He actually died 16 years after the tomb was opened.
So not a curse.
But yeah, but still, if you read stuff, like some people still say, oh, well, he was a victim of the curse. I'm like,
16
that was
years.
16 years later.
How old was he?
He was 64 when he died. And he had lymphoma.
What?
So,
Curse my ass.
Again, that has nothing to do with the curse. Like I said, he just died like a normal
You're in your
hospital.
60s,
Yeah.
15 years. That's a normal lifespan.
Yeah, that's what I
Especially
mean.
back then.
Yeah. So again, and this is what we're talking about. We talk about statistics. Of the 58 people who were present when the tomb and sarcophagus were open, we're not even talking about like all the random ass people that just wandered in there afterward, or or touched it or whatever. 58 people that were in there when the tomb and sarcophagus were opened. Only 8 died within a dozen years. Doesn't seem like a curse to me. It sounds creepy when you lay them all out like that. But when you actually think of how long a time that was, and how many people that were there that nothing bad happened to, then it starts to seem a little less mysterious. That's all I'm saying.
I remember this case fucking long time ago, like 30 years ago.
Yeah, I read about it in my...
And people were like, what are you talking about, curse? And then when you look at the data, you're like, yeah, no, not a curse. Not a curse. They're just laying it out in books and in fucking, like, in search of, and they're laying it out without giving you exact fucking details.
Yeah, you don't really have a lot of context.
When you look at it, you're like, no, everything went normally.
Yeah.
Dude didn't die early of a curse. He died normal lifespan for the time, 65.
Well, most of them did. Like I said, the weirdest one there was just Lord Carnarvon, and that was just like, seemed like just shitty luck. I mean, that seems like a shitty way to go. Which, something normal, like you get bit by a mosquito on your face, and then like you cut the wound open, and then you get blood poisoning and die. I mean, that
was a normal occurrence back then.
But yeah, back then it was. I mean, nowadays that would be like super unlucky. But
what year was that?
1922, 1923.
So you had antibiotics, but not much else. Because what is it? When did antibiotics come in?
Ooh.
Late 1910s, I think, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So easy to get infected back then and die.
That's true. Again, that's why
I think penicillin was. Correct me, people. Go in there and check. When was penicillin in wide use? I think.
That was later because we talked about that a little bit on our Tuskegee syphilis experiment.
Okay.
I think penicillin had been around for a bit, but I think it didn't really get into wide usage until like the 40s.
Okay, then
I don't think.
Then that's not the curse. That's just him not having access or knowledge of penicillin.
And he was a lord, and he financed the whole excavation, so his ass was rich, and he still died in a stupid way like that.
Right.
Just goes to show.
Common back then. You got infected, you died.
Yeah, so even with all his money, he couldn't do anything about it. Holy crap.
The knowledge wasn't there.
Yeah. Camp Guy said they say Tut was buried quickly and in a vacant tomb because he died unexpectedly.
It wasn't a vacant tomb.
That's why there's not many decorations in the tomb, just drawings of baboons.
No. We're talking about his tomb wasn't extravagant, but it wasn't bare.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit in there. I've seen photos of it from the time.
It was just kind of like a second echelon burial. But he wasn't king for long. He was young.
Well, yeah, he was only was he only like 18 when he died?
Yeah, he was only king
like
for a few years.
Yeah.
So he got a proper burial for a king of his age for the time that he served. It wasn't unusual.
Camp Guy said, can you imagine finding those burial nested caskets with those solid gold masks? Beyond belief. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, even if they had some inkling of what was in there, because they knew about ancient Egyptian tombs, it's just they hadn't really found one that hadn't been rifled through.
Right. That's why we have Tut's tomb.
Yeah.
Is because he was a second, third echelon king. He wasn't famous. His tomb was never found. You know. The main
robbers,
the main kings, their tombs were found long, long ago.
Yeah, and most of the good shit was taken out of there.
Had he been somebody like Ramses, he'd have been robbed fucking within the lifetime of somebody who knew about Ramses.
Yeah.
You know, so no, there's nothing unusual about finding King Tut's tomb. He wasn't a main player, and even in his day, he just died too young. Yeah. And he wasn't a bad king, so we would go like, well, he must not been any good or this. No, it's just that he wasn't king for very long.
Yeah, because he was very, very young. He was just a kid, really.
He died and was quickly forgotten.
And like I said,
to most of us.
Yeah, and I mean and the only reason people remember him now and he's famous nowadays is because his tomb. Well, no, because his tomb was found intact.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't important.
Right.
If he was important, his tomb would have not been found intact.
Yeah.
Right. The important ones were
But
robbed.
there was a bunch of cool shit in there.
Yeah,
like I said,
it was still good.
Yeah.
It was still good. He was buried with ranks, with honor.
I mean, that mask is like fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
He was not an amazing god king.
Yeah.
An amazing god king would have been Ramses, all right? And there are huge complexes left for Ramses' sons being buried and shit like that. Motherfucker, he was the Joseph Stalin of ancient Egypt. But you'll never find Ramses' tomb. That bitch. Well, no. I think they might have found Ramses' tomb. It might have been that big complex, but robbed a long, long, long time ago. Robbed in the ancient era.
Yeah.
Because he just motherfucker called too much attention to himself.
Well, I mean, everybody like criminals back then were kind of we're just like they're just waiting for them to die. We're like, we're gonna bust in there and get all that shit.
Tomb of Ramses. Oh yeah, we're gonna get that.
There's gonna be all kind of good shit in there. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
out of all the Egyptian god kings, Ramses was the main one. All right, that was the archetype for ancient Egypt.
Yep. All right. Yeah, Larry says he should have kept that cut cleaner. Yeah, I guess they didn't really. I don't know. They didn't really worry about it back then. I don't really know.
Well, they buried them all down in the Valley of the Kings, which in ancient times was guarded. But guarding things is hard to do over time, especially when you have governments that go unstable and that lose funding. You're talking about centuries. You know, you just can't guard something well over the centuries and then millennia, thousands of years. Most of ancient Egypt died or it vanished in the Islamic era because a lot of it got looted to make mosques, like the outside coverings of all the pyramids. There's a bunch of limestone there, and they made mosques out of that. And they went in there and found any tomb that wasn't robbed. They went in there and got that later because just new empires form, and they don't really respect the old empires. They have new religions, new beliefs. They go, oh, those are pagans. We're going to tear their shit down. Same thing in Europe. All the fucking Roman stuff got cannibalized in the medieval period, most of it. Most of what we know of ancient Rome was found in the attics of European lords. All those statues, they were in private collections. European noblemen had all that. It eventually ended up in museums, but it was all being looted, you know?
Fucking looters.
Well, what's it gonna do? Imagine. Half of Detroit is gone, torn down. That was at one time the greatest city in America. All right? But most of it's gone now, torn down. People aren't saving pieces of Detroit. It's just being lost. But 1,000 years from now, a statue from downtown Detroit will be worth something.
Mm-hmm.
And might be a few people out there that have somehow saved a fucking statue that used to stand downtown Detroit. You know?
You just gave a bunch of people ideas. Hey, we're gonna go to Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Go down to Detroit. Well, a lot of it's
I'm gonna
gone.
go down like steal a mailbox or something.
Yeah. Most, got Gramthars in the audience. We remember old Detroit back when it was ruins and they were tearing it down. If you go to most of old Detroit now has been returned to nature. It's just an open plain because they took bulldozers and fucking tore it all down. Beautiful homes, fucking handmade fucking hearths over the damn fireplaces and bricks and doorknobs that were just fucking gorgeous doorknobs made out of brass and all these fittings, and it's all gone. But I remember it as a kid. But there was a lot of that back in those days, and over the years people just said, it's just more junk from Detroit. They just fucking throw it away.
Well, it's just kind of like when you move in a house and then you find a bunch of shit in the attic and it's just like
fuck all that. Yeah.
Take it to Goodwill or throw it in the dumpster.
Exactly. And most of ancient Egypt went that way.
Yeah, it's like, it's funny to think about now, but back then they were just kind of like, just this old shit laying around.
Yeah, Rome was the same way. This old fucking statue of this dude, fuck him. Some of the statues that were found in a damn buried theater during the time of what's his name, Nero, because a lot of stuff got buried during the time of Nero to build a new housing stuff. They found a theater that had been buried and something built on top of it, and when they broke into it, I think it might have been 18th century, 19th century, brand new, fresh statues still sitting there on the podium of emperors in the theater. And there wasn't any names underneath them. They don't know who they were. They just know they were emperors. A lot of those statues of fucking... Because, we don't have the context. In those days, people knew who those emperors were.
Yeah.
Like if you saw a photograph of Reagan, you knew who that is. If you see a photograph of fucking Clinton, you know who that is. So they didn't need to put names underneath them. But some of the fucking great statues that are now in theaters now in museums came from that theater. They're not really quite sure who they were. Vespasian.
Well, it was a long time ago.
Long time ago, right. They know they were emperors. They're just not sure which one.
Yeah, because they didn't have photographs back then.
Right.
Danny Rolling Ghostface says, there should be a horror film about a serial object curser who curses objects and then leaves them in public to be found and turn people's lives upside down for the worse. Because I'd watch it. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. I'm surprised somebody hasn't made that. Mr. Roboto, thank you, Mr. Roboto. Death at 65 after Pyramid, very much a mummy curse. Yeah, right? Okay. Camp Guy said, wonder who got those Rembrandts from the Gardner Museum. I don't think we're ever going to find that stuff. I kind of want to do a show about that because I'm really interested in like art theft and art forgery and stuff. And it sucks that those guys took all those paintings, but it's kind of like, in a way, all those kind of heist things, I always kind of like admire their ingenuity, at least, even though it's like shitty and, please don't do that. But I don't know. Like, there was another one too that happened. It wasn't art. It was actually diamonds and gems. And it happened in Belgium. It was like in Antwerp. And I read a whole book about it and just the lengths that this gang went to to steal. It took them like 2 years, and they had a mole on the inside, and it's like just all the planning and shit like that. And it was just fascinating. And most of them actually got away with it. I don't think they found any of the stuff. They found like some of the, you know, kind of, because they stole a bunch of stuff. Like it was mostly gems, but, you know, because I guess it was like the diamond district in Belgium there. Let's see. Okay, so I want to talk about the cursed paintings, because we were going to talk about these on the Urban Legends show, and we just were going on for so long that we didn't get around to it. So I wanted to kind of like cover a couple of these as well. So probably the most famous cursed painting nowadays is a painting that's called "The Hands Resist Him." Now, I have a picture of this, actually. I usually forget to do this kind of shit, but I do actually have the painting today. This isn't all of it. This is just kind of like the main part of it. But this is it here, which is, it's very creepy. Yeah, that's it. It's called "The Hands Resist Him." And this is a supposedly cursed haunted painting. So, story behind this one goes thusly. So this painting, they actually know who painted it. It was a dude named Bill Stoneham. Now, he painted it back in 1972. Now, even though the painting looks creepy as shit, I will admit that, but according to the artist, what it means is that he's like, the little boy in it is supposed to be him, like as a little kid. The door behind that has all the handprints on it, he said that's supposed to be like a representation of the kind of the door between the waking world and the world of like fantasy or dreams or whatever. And then the doll is supposedly the guide. Still pretty weird, you know, but it's maybe not as creepy as it appears. So this painting had been kind of like circulating for a while because, like I said, it was painted in 1972. It became famous in 2000 when somebody posted it for sale on eBay, and the description of it implied very strongly that it was cursed / haunted and had all kind of weird shit about it. Now, the painting was first displayed at a gallery in Beverly Hills in 1972, not too long after it was painted. And this was like a one-man show, like the artist. And the show was actually even reviewed by the Los Angeles Times art critic at the time. During the show, this particular painting, "The Hands Resist Him," was bought by an actor named John Marley, who was actually in The Godfather. And after Marley died, they're not really entirely sure where the painting ended up, but apparently it ended up with the family members or got given away or whatever. The painting actually ended up getting found at an old brewery by this old couple in California. And they were the ones that put the painting up on eBay in February of 2000. What?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you...
No. Sitting here drinking.
Oh, okay. I thought you...
I want to bust in and say something?
No, I thought you wanted to like answer a question or something. So February 2000, this turns up on an auction. Now, according to the sellers, this elderly couple who had found the painting, they said that it was cursed. They said that the characters in the painting, I love this, that the characters in the painting moved around at night.
What?
Like, I guess you would like get up and the character and the people were in different positions than they were earlier. No, I'm not either. It's a good story though, like I said. I mean,
cool story.
It was a good way to like get some money for the painting because, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so and they said too that the characters could actually come out of the painting and like walk around in the room and shit, okay? Now, I didn't see the photographs that supposedly accompanied this eBay listing, but apparently they included some photos that were supposedly proof. They're like, hey, look, you know, this is proof that the people move around or that they come out of the painting at night or whatever. The photographs, they said that there was this incident where the little doll in the painting threatened the boy with a gun she was holding, which the artist said that's not a gun, it's a dry cell battery, like with wires coming out, but whatever, it doesn't even look like a gun. But so she threatened him with the gun, and he tried to get out of the painting. So they said that that's what the photos were showing, that the doll was like, get out of the painting right now. You know, yeah, it was that. So They also included, and honestly, these two were kind of like geniuses because, you know, if you're gonna sell something on eBay and you don't think you're gonna get that much money for it, just say it's like cursed or haunted or some shit, and like people would be. Then you get all kinds of money.
Try to sell a Dybbuk box.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, well, after that Dybbuk box story like got popular, and it was on a haunting and stuff, I kind of feel like a lot of people did that. And that for a while there was, this is going back many years, but for a while I feel like there was a trend for ghosts in a jar. You know what I mean? Like where you'd have a jar.
They got girls selling farts. Jars full of farts. I mean, you can sell anything to anybody.
You can, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Honestly, if you can get somebody to pay for that, more power to you.
More power to you. I
you.
respect your hustle.
I do. Yeah. I do as well. Like I said, it's not. I don't have a problem. I don't think they should take that down or anything like that.
No, let a girl sell farts. I don't give a shit. Sell farts in a jar.
I mean, you know.
If dudes are that, if the dudes out there simping that much, where they're gonna buy a fart out of a jar, I'm gonna send that woman a tip. I'm gonna give her some kudos because I respect her fucking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect your game.
Thank you again, Mr. Roboto. Tom and Jenny, do you think James Dean's car is cursed?
No.
No, probably not.
No. Matter of fact, that car was fucking totaled, and it was just a little fucking ball of twisted metal. But they still have collectors looking for it. I think it's long gone.
Yeah, probably.
But if you have that car, you could probably make $1 million on that car.
Oh, I'm sure.
They would buy that wreck and somehow try to straighten that frame out of it and build an entire car on that fucking straightened ass. I don't know how you could straighten it. I saw the photographs. But they would try to build a car based on that frame around that serial number and rebuild that car, and it would auction for a lot. That would be James Dean's fucking Spider. James Dean Sports Porsche Spider, which was a cool car. But I looked into that way back in the day. James Dean's Porsche Spider was fucking curled up into a fucking ball and thrown away and then melted down. It's gone. Nobody thought it would be collectible. Not in those days.
Well, I mean, that's the very thing that makes things collectible later on, is that nobody thought to keep it at the time because nobody even, like, it never occurred to anybody that...
Even his friends and family or whatever weren't interested in it. So, it's gone. It's long gone.
Which, I mean, I can see that. Like, if your loved one was killed in a car, you don't want to fucking keep the shit. God damn.
But the collectors are looking for it. They know the serial number of that car. They know what that car looks like. If you could fake that wreck... You'd make a lot of money.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck faking that wreck.
Don't get killed.
Yeah. There are photographs, and I don't think you could fake it, though.
No,
you couldn't fake that wreck.
No, probably not. I mean, you might be able to, like, sell it to somebody that wasn't all that savvy about it.
People would get involved.
But
savvy motherfuckers would get involved, because it would be worth $1 million at least.
Yeah. But so this
car's long gone.
This particular listing, which is another thing that you should probably do if you're selling some shit that's supposed to be haunted on eBay. Always have a disclaimer saying that if some bad shit happens to you, like the curse, does some bad shit to you, you can't sue us. I mean, it's probably it's probably good to like cover your ass like that. So they had the thing is, so if you buy it, it's your ass. We're absolving ourselves of liability of the whole thing. So they did that. So obviously, because this was 2000 and everybody was very excited, ooh, curse painting on eBay. So the shit went pretty much viral. And I think that the auction page got viewed like 30,000 times, some shit like that. Obviously, some people came forward and said just looking at the pictures made me feel nauseated. There was that whole thing. Now, the first bit, I'm not sure if they had... I don't know if this was one of the things where they had like an auction. I don't know what the first asking price was. But the first bid was $199. But 30 people eventually bid on it. And it ended up selling for $1,025. So, not bad. Not $1 million, but, the person that bought it was actually like a gallery owner. And so I don't think they were really cared about it being haunted, but they just probably thought, oh, well, people come to the gallery to see it because it's kind of like famous now. So they bought it, and they actually got in touch with Bill Stoneham, the artist, and told him, hey, your shit was just on eBay, and they said the shit was haunted. And he actually seemed like he hadn't heard about that. He's like, huh, isn't that crazy? And everybody was talking about like the weird interpretations they had of like what the painting meant. And he's like, that's totally not what I meant, but okay, whatever. And so he said, though, I don't know if this is true or if he's just like, once he found out about like the curse, that he decided he was gonna go into the legend a little bit so he could like sell some more artwork, which, like I said, I don't blame him. But he's like, oh yeah, now that you mention it, the guy that owned the gallery where I first showed the painting back in 1972 and the art critic that covered that show back in 1972, both of them died within a year of like seeing the painting. So like I said, that to me sounds like a yarn, because he's trying to get like more. He's just feeding into the shit, which, like I said, I don't blame him. He's an artist. He probably like needs some fucking money, you know. So what ended up happening after that was that whoever, a person that saw like the story about the original painting, so they contacted the artist and they said, hey, you should paint, and he commissioned a sequel to the painting. So he painted another one, and it's called Resistance at the Threshold, and it's kind of like the same, the same look of the painting, and it has like the same characters in it, but it's 40 years later. And then somebody else commissioned him to make to do another one, and that was called Threshold of Revelation, and he painted that one in 2012. So he still has a website, as far as I know. And then somebody else, it might have been the same person, but there was like a third commission. So see, he knew what he was doing. He's getting like a bunch of commissions out of this shit. Somebody said, hey, paint a prequel now. So he's doing like a whole fucking expanded universe. So he did a prequel painting called The Hands Invent Him, and so that kind of went there too. So then in 2017, there's the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas actually bought the prequel painting, so you can see it there in Las Vegas. I guess you can still see it there now. The other paintings, I'm not sure where they are. You can see like the pictures of them on his website, but apparently the dude's still around, and he actually painted another painting in the series in 2021, which is called What Remains, and it has the same layout, but everything looks like I don't know if it's like post-apocalyptic, but it's like everything's gone, you know what I mean? So he's done like not too bad. I mean, he just painted it back in the 70s, and then for some reason everybody like freaked out about it, and then he was probably like, ooh, I got like all these commissions, I'm gonna cash in on that shit. Like I said, I don't blame him, not one bit. Fucking dumb people, says Larry.
Yeah, Larry was saying maybe James Dean's car is in one of those underground parking lots with all the other cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's not though. James Dean's car was picked up and taken to a local fucking lot where it probably sat for a couple days, a couple weeks, and then sent to a local scrapyard. In those days, people were not really cognizant of the idea of a collector's market. Dean was famous, but the car wasn't famous. They just weren't like that. They would get rid of this thing. But the family didn't claim it, collect it. Nobody wanted it. Didn't want to claim it and pick it up, and nobody really wanted it. It was a Porsche Spider. I imagine it probably got cannibalized a little bit before they threw it away. Took things off the fucking engine, like took carbs off, took things here and there off of it, if any of that survived, and sold it on a fucking black market or secondary market. But the car was just not special in its day and sent to the scrapyard and melted down. It's gone. Unfortunate. It was a hot car. It was. Hot car.
Ben Frail says Cheeto that looks like William H. Macy. Well, yeah, like some people, because again, I kind of feel like Ghosts in a Jar was a thing, and there was also the whole, remember that really famous, was it Jesus or the Virgin Mary on the toasted cheese sandwich that somebody sold on eBay?
Was, Jesus, I think.
Yeah, was it? I can't remember. And well, somebody sold it. Somebody sold it like in one of those little like Tupperware containers. What they sell it for? Like $3,000 or some shit like that. And then of course everybody tried to do it. And honestly, back there somewhere, I have, somebody gave me for a present. It's pretty awesome. I have a little thing. It's like a little bread shaped thing, and you push it into your bread and then toast the bread, and it puts Jesus on your bread. Yeah. So I have one of those. So I could make I could make lots and lots of those, but I don't think anybody pay for them nowadays.
Larry says he agrees with me. He's just joking. That car's gone. That car is fucking gone. It's too bad. Too bad. If you had James Dean's fucking Spider, you'd be a wealthy man if you could prove it. Well, they know the serial numbers. And a pro could go in there and look at that twisted wreck and go, yeah, that's it. But why haven't you sold this earlier? That'd be the main question. We've been looking for this for fucking 40 years. Why now? You know? Where's this fucker been? A lot of people have been looking for that car.
Yeah.
You get $1 million at least, I would think, for that car.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Hugo says, LOL, Jesus on toast. It is delightful. I mean, I really like, I think my friend Liz gave it to me like years ago. And I've used it a few times. You just like, it's, you know, it looks like a cookie cutter kind of, but you just like push it into the bread before you toast it, and then you toast it, and when it comes out, it looks like Jesus on there. It's pretty rad. But yeah, so I can make like lots and lots of them. Mr. Robota says, do they make the Spider now?
Well, they make a lot of Spiders. It's just the Porsche Spider at the time. No, they don't make that anymore.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Porsche Spider, in a way, when you looked at it, was kind of like a glorified Carmen Ghia. It had a lot in common with that. It was a real cool car. I saw one, a Porsche Spider, here in Florida. This is a couple years back. Went riding on fucking the Buell, and stopped off at a Starbucks and was sitting there drinking coffee, and car came in, and fucking, you could hear them damn valves fucking rapping, and a Porsche Spider pulled in. I walked right up to dude, you know, it's like, dude, this fucking car is awesome. He's like, thank you, fucking, and he was just an old yuppie from the New York area who had a house here, and he had because you have to understand something here in Florida, all the rich people from Florida and California have homes here. They fuck y'all states up where they are, but then they come over here, and this is where they play, you know, and they keep it good here. You've been seeing it recently. She's in the bathroom, so I'm gonna tell you. No, okay. The ruling class fucking shows up here while they fuck up the rest of the world. And he was in that damn Porsche Spider. We talked about it for hours, and the car was fucking sweet. It was super sweet. And I didn't ask him who he was. He was probably somebody famous, you know. But we talked about cars and motorcycles, and he was telling me about the engine. He had guys working on it. He didn't know everything about internal combustion or anything, but it was an air-cooled car. And he was like, you know, when it's hot weather out here, you know, the thing makes a lot of noise. And I was like, put a little bit of two-stroke oil in the gasoline. Maybe like from Redline. Redline burns really fucking clean. And if you put that in any high-performance, push-rod operated fucking air-cooled engine, it'll fucking quiet down the valve train a lot. Because those old push-rod operated fucking air-cooled two-valve engines were made for old gasoline that had a lot of fucking impurities in it from back in the day. And the impurities in the oil inside that gasoline kind of acted as a lubricant for the valve train, which made it a lot quieter. A couple months later, that same dude pulled in together, and he was like fucking giving me the thumbs up, and he says, man, I put some of that Redline fucking two-stroke oil in the engine, and he's like, it quieted it right down, this fucking red. And I was like, yeah. But I don't really know who the guy was. It's kind of impolite to ask somebody what they do for a living or who they were. For all I know, dude was a billionaire. But they have them around here. I'm going to the restroom.
Fourth row down says that Danish that looked like Mother Teresa was uncanny.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe, well, the person, as far as I know, it wasn't a person that bought the Virgin Mary or Jesus grilled cheese sandwich, like the famous one. I think it was like one of those kitschy museums in Vegas, and they just bought it because it was really famous. So I guess for them, like $3,000 wasn't that big a deal because they figured like people would come to see it because it was famous. So it wasn't just like some dumbass from like Nebraska or something being like, it's Jesus on a grilled cheese sandwich. take all my money. Yeah, it was actually like a kitschy museum that bought it, as far as I can remember. I don't know about the other stuff, like, you know, the Dorito that looked like Bob Hope or whatever. It's just kind of like, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. All right, so I had a couple other paintings I want to talk about. This one, there's not a lot about this one, but this is a pretty famous image. Let me see if I can find it. I have it here somewhere. Oh, there it is. This is a painting called The Anguished Man. Now, I kind of feel like there's a lot of memes and kind of like stories about this one, but there's not a lot of info on it. They're not even really sure who it was that painted it. Like, they don't know, you know, who the artist was. But a guy named Sean Robinson owns it. I don't know if he painted it and just says, I don't know where it came from or whatever. I mean, that seems like something, that sounds like something I would do. Just like, I don't know where this painting came from. I found it in a coffin in an attic or something like that. So what Sean Robinson says is that he doesn't know who the artist is. He says he got the painting from his grandmother, and his grandmother told him, allegedly, that the person who painted it mixed his own blood into the paint, just like in the H.G. Lewis movie, Color Me Blood Red. Although that was kind of, well, he started out with his own blood, then he started using other people's blood. But yeah, so he mixed his own blood in the paint, and then after he finished the painting, he supposedly killed himself, and the painting has had, you know, all this kind of stories about it being cursed since then. Apparently, Sean Robinson said, I don't know if it's still there, but he did have a YouTube channel for a time, and he did do, like, some video recordings of the painting and, like, talking about it and stuff like that.
Hold on, Larry said some funny shit. Tom's gonna have a bunch of dumb people putting two-stroke oil in their motors. Yeah. Thank you, Larry. You put two-stroke oil in your engine only if you have an air-cooled, two-valve, push-rod-operated motor. All right? Exactly. Which those don't exist anymore. No car is like that. We're talking about classic, old school shit. From a time when gasoline had lead in it, all right? And a lot of oil in the fucking gasoline. It was just it was a different fucking era. We're talking about 1950s and before. That's what we're talking about. Okay, thank you, Larry. You're right. Yeah.
Mary says, what about the dress that was like white to some people and blue to others? Yeah, I don't know if that was so much cursed. That was just like a weird like optical illusion. I kind of remember, but I can't remember what color it looked like to me. I think it looked like white to me, but I'm not really sure. DJ Maniac says, I have a friend named Vincent Castilla that paints with his own blood. He just opened a tattoo shop in Florida. Yeah, I kind of feel like that's probably pretty common nowadays. Like I said, I was thinking about Herschel Gordon Lewis because we recorded a review of 2000 Maniacs like earlier today, and he did a movie called Color Me Blood Red that was about an artist that painted with blood, you know, when back in the 60s when that was maybe like a big deal. So here's another curse painting. This little painting here. Now this is interesting because there's a lot of different versions of this one, but this seems to be like the main version of this one, and it's called The Crying Boy, and this is what it looks like. Look at how sad that little kid is. Oh my god, he's making a little sad pooky face. So it's this painting. There are other variations of it because I guess this is I guess that's a thing. I do kind of feel like maybe in the 70s people wanted paintings of like sad crying children in their houses for whatever reason. I don't really know. But that particular painting,
well, why in the 1800s do they want naked children in their fucking houses?
Because they were perverts.
Those little fucking
that was an easy question to answer.
Yeah. All these naked babies.
The crying children, see, that's less explicable to me.
Right,
like naked children, like, you know, obviously they were weird perverts. That's why.
I think they were, yeah.
But, you know, crying children, I don't know. That seems a little strange. But that painting was done by an Italian painter named Giovanni Bragolin. And that's not his real name. That's like a pseudonym. And this painting, for whatever reason, got like super famous. So they like mass produced like all these prints of it. And apparently like a shit ton of people, particularly in the UK, had this painting like on their wall. And as I said, there were multiple variations. It wasn't always little boys. Sometimes it was little girls too. But it was always like a really, really sad looking kid, like with little tears running down their face. Like I said, why? I don't know why you'd want that in your house, but okay. But I mean, I can't judge. I got all kind of fucked up shit in my house, so, you know. But yeah, so this painting supposedly also has a curse on it. And the weird thing, this seems to have been mostly fueled by the British tabloid media. back in 1985, because like I said, I kind of feel like this is a 70s thing that a lot of old British people had in their house, this painting. Back in 1985, The Sun in the UK, they did this story that this firefighter in Essex apparently said that he had been to just so many fires, you guys, that they found this painting and the painting, even though the house had like burned down, that painting was always like untouched. And he thought that it happened often enough and he was weirded out enough by it, apparently, to like report it to a tabloid newspaper. Although, like I said, they could have just made it up, because I think The Sun does that too. But yeah, so this firefighter said, yeah, we found so many like of these paintings, and they're never burned. And so the newspaper kind of, obviously, I guess they got, you know, their readers all like, you know, upset about it, like it was a curse and everything. And I think the newspaper, even later on, they organized like like public burnings of the painting, like to see if they would burn, because the urban legend started to spread that this painting was cursed and that you couldn't burn it, so that it was like, I don't know, possessed by demons or some shit like that. I don't know. It was the 80s. Fucking satanic panic shit was probably going on. But yeah, so they did like mass bonfires and stuff. So later on, they had this other this British comedian, and he decided he was gonna like look into this shit. And they did a thing like on BBC Radio 4, like he did a show about it. And he said that from his research that if the stories about this painting always turning up in, you know, fire-ravaged homes and like being untouched are true, he said everybody he consulted said, well, probably that's because maybe the varnish that's on the painting is like some kind of fire retardant. And so when the painting is hanging on the wall, like the fire would burn the, you know, the thing that was holding the string, whatever the fuck, the string or the wire that was holding the painting to the wall, and then the painting would fall off and like fall face first. But because it had fire retardant on it, it wouldn't burn, even though everything around it would. So they were like, that's pretty much all they could come up with. But I don't know why, just because it didn't burn in fires often enough that people noticed it, like everybody started to think the painting was cursed. So I thought that was kind of like fucking funny. All right, so let's talk about some cursed dolls. Now, like I said, we're not going to talk about Annabelle, because everybody knows about Annabelle, and I think we talked about that before anyway on one of our the Warrens show. I think we talked about that. And I think we've also talked about Robert the Doll from Key West. So I don't want to cover that again, because I'm pretty sure we already talked about that. But I found a couple of other ones that we hadn't talked about before. One of these being Letta the Gypsy Doll, also known as Letta Me Out, which you'll know why in a second. Story goes that this doll, which I have a picture of this too, I think. Where is it? There she is. Creepy, right? It's creepy.
Yeah.
Why did they make like ugly dolls like
That's
these?
a female? That's not a female doll.
I don't know what it is.
That's a male face with hair on it.
I don't know what it is.
They're fucking with you. They're trolling us.
Well, you know, I'm just saying.
Trolling.
So story goes that this doll was found under a house in Wagga Wagga, Australia. Oh, Australia, never change. And again, the story goes, I don't know if it was really found underneath a house, but okay, that's the story. So the history of this doll, supposedly, was that a Romanian gypsy made this doll by hand, because of course, and made it for their son, whose name was Letta. Now, the boy, supposedly, told his dad that the doll talked to him. Again, creepy. Now, apparently, this little boy was playing with the doll one day, and he drowned. And so it's believed that the boy's ghost is now trapped inside the doll. Okay? It's kind of like some Chucky action going on there. So this supposedly happened like almost 50 years ago, right? Now, the guy that owns it now, who's a dude named Kerry Walton, and he's supposedly the one that found it under the house. Now, he was the one that started calling it Letta Me Out, because I don't know how he knew about the fucking story about the kid named Letta or whatever. He says he brought the doll home, and he says that his kids would wake up in the middle of the night and they were crying, and they said the doll was talking to them and moving its head around, okay, and they were freaked out. So other people that know this dude said, yeah, when they've touched the doll or stood by it, it makes them feel what one website called irrational grief. So they feel like super, super bummed out.
Oh, yeah, rational.
And then they start crying and stuff without any reason for it. So it has like some kind of weird hormonal effect, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it has hormones on it. So the doll's wood, okay, and it has human hair on it, which, you know, creepy. So a bunch of people have said they've seen this doll like move around. If you bring a dog by it, supposedly the dog will try to eat it because the dog doesn't like it. And so the guy, Kerry Walton, who owns it, of course, like I said, this sounds like another story. He takes the doll around Australia and like puts it on display. And he says that every time he takes the doll out, like I said, that's why they call it Letting Me Out. Every time he takes the doll out, it rains. So the doll is like bumming everyone out and making it rain all the time and talking to your kids and like moving around by itself. So there you go. I mean, it is a creepy looking doll, I will say. I don't actually know where this doll came from. I don't buy that Romanian gypsy story, not one bit. But like I said, it's a good story. If you come up with a good story like that and it goes fucking viral, you know, I wonder how many artists have done that, have painted something or made a doll or something, and then instead of saying they did it, they just came forward and said, I don't have any idea. Like, I just found this painting in the attic of this abandoned house I was in, and, you know, now it's like I hear it whispering at night and all this other kind of stuff, and now I have an idea. All right, so another haunted doll that we're going to talk about is Mandy, the doll. Now, this doll is supposedly 114 years old. Again, this doll is pretty creepy to look at. I think I have a picture of her somewhere. Where is she? There she is. I mean, you know. Why? Hello. I love it. I love it. Why did they make fucking creepy ass dolls like that back in the old days?
Murder Hornet's Nest. He showed me, says, I'll send it next week. That's the iPad. That's the iPad.
I thought he was making it up.
Well, see, that's kind of a funny looking eye patch. I have to see that in person before I fucking wear that. It looks kind of like something you put over a nipple.
That works too.
Yeah.
You can just put it over, listen, put it under your armpit or whatever.
Yeah.
Just put it over one. Andrea Smith said the doll identifies as a female. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, Mary says, I got a walking doll that my mom put my old clothes on her. That's a little creepy. I ate some peanut butter toast and had a butter knife. I dreamed it got up coming at me. I made her get rid of it. Honestly, I don't blame you. I don't know why. I mean, and I kind of feel like back in the Victorians were weird, okay? And it's like the Victorians, I kind of feel like were notorious for making like the world's creepiest looking fucking dolls. You know? It's like, why? It's just, I don't know, so creepy. Because I kind of feel like this doll, if it really is 114 years old, that's about Victorian-esque era, maybe a little bit later. So this doll, known as Canada's most evil antique. I don't know how much competition there is in that area. So 1991, this doll got donated to this museum in British Columbia. And so apparently, like, a lot of people go there and see her. I don't know about nowadays if the museum's still open, but it was whenever this article that I'm sourcing from was written. Now, apparently the person that had owned this doll originally, the person that donated her to the museum, didn't really like the doll. She said it made her feel really weird and she was creeped out by it. So she actually kept it in the basement with a bunch of other antiques and started hearing like a bunch of weird sounds coming from the basement as soon as she put the doll down there. And then she would go down to the basement and see what the fuck the noise was and then couldn't find anything. So then after a while, like, weird noises kind of graduated to baby crying, sound of a baby crying coming from this room. And again, she keeps going in there and never did find anything. So I guess that after a while, this noise was just getting worse and worse. And then she eventually ended up associating it with this Mandy doll and said, well, this doll is obviously like fucking haunted. So she didn't really want to throw it away because who knows what would happen then. But so she ended up donating it to the museum, and apparently like the haunting or whatever it was like stopped at her house after. But then it started up at the museum that the doll got given to. So one thing, this is hilarious to me. Like this one article, I love. it's creepy enough that people, it's like, oh, the doll moves around by itself and talks and shit like that. Okay, that's creepy. But here's one thing that Mandy apparently does that just is kind of like funny. So apparently, not long after Mandy the doll came to this museum, people who worked in the museum started complaining that their lunches were vanishing out of the refrigerator and were turning up like stuffed into random drawers around the building. I'm like, seems like a little bit petty for like a haunted doll to be doing that kind of shit. That just sounds like some asshole that works there, like stealing food out of the refrigerator and then stuffing it in drawers somewhere. But yeah, so they said there was like an epidemic of that after the doll came. A lot of employees at the museum said that a bunch of their stuff, like from their desk, would like disappear and they'd never find it again. They said at first that they put Mandy in this case near the entrance, but people started complaining about it. It's like, ew, we walk in the museum and like we don't feel good, like it was making them feel weird and shit, so they had to like move it. And she was apparently first put into a case with a bunch of other dolls, but Mandy apparently wanted all the spotlight to herself. She did not really like all these other dolls being in the case, so they would they would come into work and they'd find like the other dolls in the case were like kind of fucked up. They were all like damaged, so they had to put Mandy like in her own case. So they stick her in a case in the corner. Now, after, this kind of story, the curse got around, so there was a book that came out called Supernatural Stories Around British Columbia, and it talked about Mandy the doll in there. So after that book came out, she got a lot more famous, so a lot of people started coming to the museum just to see her. And, pretty much around the doll, people started reporting kind of your regular, like, paranormal kind of stuff, like, your phone batteries are, drain really fast, or your camera doesn't work. There's a lot of people have taken pictures of her and said the pictures didn't come out, like they were all blurry, or there was like fucked up shit like light or whatever in front of them. And some people said that the doll like heads move and like watches them as they're walking around the room, and that they see her eyes blink, like out of the corner of their eyes, shit like that. And she seems to like move around in the case as well. So yeah, that's Mandy the doll. Now this story right here, this isn't exactly a cursed doll, but I just thought this was so fucking funny that I had to mention it. This is one thing that kept coming up when I was talking about like haunted dolls. And even though there's kind of like, this is apparently true, but I guess there is a real explanation for it, but it's still like funny as shit. So this is the death threat Elmo. Okay. So back in 2008, Elmo, the lovable Sesame Street creature. So there was a line of Elmo dolls, which was called Elmo Knows Your Name, which kind of sounds like a threat, but okay. That's what the doll was. That's what the doll. I know your name. That's what the doll was called. Yeah. And it apparently had this kind of like chip in it that you could like teach it your name, and it would talk to you and like say your name. You know what I mean? Like, hey, whatever your name is, blah blah blah. I'm Elmo. Let's brush our teeth or whatever the fuck. I don't know what he said. But apparently there was some kind of glitch with this one particular one, and it was a family in Lithia, Florida, the Bowman family. And apparently they bought their son James, who I think was 2. They bought him an Elmo Knows Your Name doll, and the doll started saying in his little Elmo voice, "Kill James, kill James," like over and over again. And the mom was understandably unnerved by this situation. So again, apparently this is a real story, because I did look it up and I was just kind of like, that sounds like some bullshit or like some fuck. But no, it is a real thing. They did actually determine the dolls. I guess the battery was dying or whatever, and it was kind of like glitching out. So it got his name, which was James, which he told the name, and then it just started like saying something that sounded like "Kill James," you know what I mean? So they did actually like give them a replacement, but it went like all over the internet, like the fucking, and of course like all the articles are super hilarious because like fucking, I just thought it was funny that one of them called him like fucking death threat Elmo. So Elmo's gonna like threaten to kill your kid and shit. Can you imagine? Fucking Elmo. I just thought that was so fucking funny. Holy shit. All right. Okay. Where are we now? Murder Hornet Return says it's real. Came right off a guy with one eye. Okay. DJ Maniac says Elmo knows where you live. I can't believe they called it Elmo Knows Your Name, the doll. That sounds... I mean, that's kind of sinister sounding.
Not to a little kid.
I don't know. I think it's kind of... I think it's sinister. I'm like, I don't want Elmo knowing my name. Goddamn.
Little kid will want Elmo to know their name. So like, oh, yeah, I know your name too, Elmo. Yeah. I love you, Elmo. That's how little kids are, you know.
I always kind of liked Elmo. I know a lot of people think he's annoying, but I thought he was kind of cute. I used to have...
Elmo knows where you live. That's what fucking
that's what I said.
DJ Maniac said. I don't know where you live.
Cheryl said Elmo's creepy anyways.
Yeah.
He is a little bit.
Yeah. Cheryl's been catching the fucking show regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for fucking joining us, Cheryl. I recognize.
I used to have this toy when I was younger. I can't remember what the hell was the name of this line. They don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a like a known character or anything.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It wasn't Tribbles. It wasn't. I don't know what it was. But it was just like this little dude. He was like a little creature. He didn't look like it kind of looked like a bear, sorta, but like he didn't have any ears. And he was wearing like a little hooded cloak. It was purple.
It sounds like a fucking Ewok.
He didn't look. No, it didn't look like an Ewok. He wasn't as complicated as that. His face was just. He was kind of beige, and then like his face was just. I don't even think he had a nose. Now that I'm saying, or a mouth. Did he just have eyes?
I don't know.
I still have it somewhere, so I have to like go find it. But he had like a little purple cloak on. I think they had ones that had different colored cloaks on them. Like they had one with a teal one, a red one, and stuff. And his little eyes. Like, he made a little giggling noise, like, hee 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 hee, like a little giggly noise, and his, like, eyes would flash. I have it somewhere.
That was those little gnome things. They're like little gnomes, right?
Is he like a gnome?
70s, right?
It was 80s. I think it was
80s?
early 80s that I had it.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
What the hell was it
They were
called?
like
It was
little gnome
like
looking
Chibble
things.
or something. It had a name that sounded like Ibble. It's not Tribbles, obviously, but it was something that sounded like that. And he made like it didn't sound like a human laugh. It sounded kind of like a weird, like little, I don't know. It was like a weird giggly noise. But yeah, I had one. I might still have it somewhere.
Thank you for joining us on the show. Fucking Jenny's been doing a good show tonight. Fucking, I'm loaded. I can barely talk. And right now I'm passing around the collection plate. I can send Jenny a super chat for her hard work. Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, yeah. Jenny could use them super chats. She gets all the money anyway.
Oh, he's trying to start something.
She gets all the money.
Hey, I buy you some shit sometimes.
It's all right. It's just normal life.
And I pay.
We all take care of the shit.
Yeah, it's all right.
Tomorrow I got to go down and fucking close this fucking house.
That's right.
Nothing but fucking 2 hours of signing paperwork. And the house is done.
I remember doing that back in the day.
And then I fucking take that stupid ass chandelier out of that fucking dining room, and then I'm gonna start painting this place on the inside.
Yeah, we're gonna have to decide on some paint.
And
colors.
I gotta pull them fucking plants out the front of this house. I'm gonna fucking reroute that damn entryway.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you signed all the shit, like you can start.
The place is ours. I'm fucking tearing this place up.
He's tearing this place up.
Some of this shit's fucking wrong.
I mean, there's a lot of shit that I want to do with the house, but I don't really have the money to do it. But I mean, paint and shit like that isn't that expensive. Yeah.
Little by little.
I mean, I just bought the paint that I bought for this room. I painted this room and the bathroom. That's all that I've painted so far, and that paint was like $70.
Jenny's got her bathroom. I got my bathroom up there. My bathroom up there. I don't like the color of that bathroom.
I don't like the color of any.
Paint that. We're gonna do our bedroom, and then the gym and my fuck around room. I'm gonna have that.
His fuck around room.
My fuck around room. We're gonna do that different. I'm gonna do a show from that room once it's done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my own show from that room, but it's gonna be survivalist type stuff and paramilitary stuff. And then once that's done, I'm gonna paint that fucking living room, and then I'm gonna move downstairs. We're gonna do room by room. That front entryway, I'm thinking about putting a fake Tuscan fucking outside bricks, paint that into the wall, because doesn't that look like something that actually should be outside between two buildings, like an Italian. This house looks Italian from the inside. That looks like that should be a fucking bistro down there.
I kind of like that idea.
Or a
actually.
cafe.
I like that idea.
Put a bar down there, light it up, put some tables like it's outside. Because downstairs looks like outside.
It does
in between two buildings.
Well, because the entryway, which I guess is
tall.
It's tall. It's all the way up to the second floor, like the ceiling, and then there's
looks
like this.
That should be bricks.
And then it's
then
like then there's like an arched window like above
columns,
the door and stuff.
And those columns looks like they should be bricks, like somewhere out in fucking Tuscany.
That might look nice, actually.
It should look like an Italian
and
restaurant.
the front, I mean, the front room, which I guess, I mean, it's supposed to be kind of like like a little living room, like a little foyer, and then like maybe a formal dining room.
Sense.
But we don't really like use a formal dining room for anything because there's like a little dining room in the kitchen, off the kitchen area.
I want this bitch to look like an amusement park. It already looks like a nightclub upstairs.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put video games out there.
It's gonna look better when we get some furniture. Because we don't have much furniture.
I can't really fuck this house up because I don't own it. Once I own it,
well,
I can
after
do it.
tomorrow you will.
Yeah, once we own it, I'll do something with it. Oh look, super chats coming.
Thank you, Bryce.
I'm asking for super chats.
Just joined. Hope I didn't miss out on too many cursed objects. Still, we still got some.
Nah,
I got some diamonds and some all kind of fun stuff. Still, I'm a little over halfway through, but that's
10 New Zealand dollars. Thank you very much, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, everybody says congratulations on the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna be.
Got to sign up for tomorrow. It's done.
Yeah, they'll give you a big pile of paperwork
and here's the thing, man. I got to pay the old fucking tax rate this year. 12 months from now, we're gonna save $300 a month just in taxes. That's when I'll be able to.
But it worked out that the mortgage payment is pretty much the same as our rent as the rent was at the old house. It didn't
go up.
So it didn't. So that's nice.
The VA helped me out because they went in there and went, nah, it's not worth fucking $475. It's worth $460.
Yeah, the sellers were asking for.
And the seller almost backed out.
Yeah.
My old landlord. But then the broker that I was using says, "What are you doing? You already owe me fucking $5,000." The broker said, "You owe me $5,000 in commission, whether this goes through or not."
Yeah, so
you're going to be putting it back up on the market and waiting for the next
who knows
fucking
how long
year,
it'll take.
Next year and a half, 2 years. Just go ahead and take it now. So that broker's asking me, he says, if you want to buy another fucking property, I can get you something for $185,000 with your credit. And I'm thinking about buying a bar in this area.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about people buying a roadhouse bar for $185,000, something around that.
I mean, it'd have to be like that scuzzy biker bar you hang out at.
Yeah, they want to sell that, and I might be able to buy that. But the thing is they're going to change. They're going to change that road there.
Yeah.
It'll be right up against it. I think I can find something better.
You probably could.
And maybe me and Big Tom will go in and buy something. Big Tom's our buddy who owns mannequins.
He owns mannequins, yeah.
And fucking, he wanted me to go in on mannequins with him in terms, but I'm gonna have it. Too bad Big Tom wants us to do the show from the fucking his club, and I'm like, we don't really.
Well, he's asked us so many times, and I'm just like, nobody's gonna be able to hear what we're saying though, because it's so loud.
Right? Yeah. Big Tom, my partner. Fucking Big Tom and Little Tom. There's a big black one and a little white one. And I'm Army and he's ex-Navy.
So a big black one and a little
the big black one and a little white one. We're working together. But fucking I'm thinking about we gotta buy. If they can get me another $185,000, I need to buy something. Once this shit's closed and once it's rolling. Not this year, but next year.
I mean, something that makes money, ideally. Either something that you can rent out or a business that is already making money. Sure.
I'm going to make money, but it's going to take another year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the restroom.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So let's talk about the Hope Diamond. Now, I was actually going to do a whole show about this, but then when... cursed objects one, I was like, I might as well throw the Hope Diamond in there. You know what I mean? Cheryl says Tom's bar for sexual policemen. Oh my god, that's what he should call it. The sexual policeman. That would be so fucking funny. I'm going to have to tell him that when he comes back. All right, so let's talk about the Hope Diamond. Now, Hope Diamond, not the only supposedly cursed diamond, or even the cursed gem, but I feel like diamonds... For whatever reason, there's always any kind of like famous diamond always has like some kind of curse attached to it for whatever reason. Like I said, it's just very, very common. And usually anybody that owns them or they're supposed to like have cause all this bad luck and shit. So the Hope Diamond, probably the most famous diamond in the world. It's in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. I've actually seen it. It's beautiful. I've seen it in person, so I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't have anything bad happen to me, so I'm just saying that. So it's a blue diamond, 45 carats, about the size of a walnut. They think that maybe, at least according to this article that I'm sourcing from, probably worth about $250 million. I mean, it is a big ass diamond, as diamonds go. So the origin of this story, and whether this is true or not, because I kind of feel like every cursed diamond or gem always has the backstory that this, XYZ gem was in the forehead of some idol in India somewhere. Some thief went and plucked it out, and then they got killed, and now it's passed from hand to hand, and everybody that owned it suffered a horrible fate and blah de blah. And this one is no different. The Hope Diamond supposedly was in the forehead of an Indian temple idol, and then got plucked out by a Hindu priest, who died in an apparently horrible way not too long after that. So then later on, it gets found in the Golconda mines in southwest India.
Cheryl says that's Tom's bar for sexual police.
That's what I said. I said I have to tell you. I said you should call your bar the sexual policeman.
Yeah, she must be fucking following my Instagram when I'm doing the sexual policeman fucking videos, photos. I'm gonna have to fucking make a video of me as the sexual policeman. I'll fucking post that shit up on fucking YouTube, on fucking Instagram.
I just had
You gotta take it though.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in my black suit.
Put on a cop outfit. Okay, I just pictured it.
Boots, my silky black fucking booty shorts. I ought to get me my fucking eye patch.
Your eye, yeah, you need the eye
patch.
Fake mustache.
Fucking little mini vest.
I feel like you need a nightstick.
Nightstick?
You need a nightstick.
Yeah, well, I got a stick. I got a nightstick. It's a stick for any time of the night. And
night or day.
I'll dance around and you could do the video and the music and everything. It'd be funny. You edit that bitch. You gonna ready to edit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it.
We'll put that shit up on Instagram. We'll drop it. We'll drop it in the data stream of the show.
I just kind of feel like
sexual policeman. I'm enforcing the sexual laws. You bitches better be fucking. Better be fucking. If y'all ain't fucking, then you're in violation.
I'm just picturing.
Gramthars giving me a badge and everything. Gramthars is gonna give me his old badge. Okay.
I'm picturing how this video would go. Honestly, how funny would it be? You just in your booty shorts and a badge and a mustache with a nightstick, and I'm just picturing you sticking your butt into the camera and then turning around and going with a nightstick. Very suggestive, you're gonna stick this, you're gonna stick this nightstick somewhere. All right. You settle down.
Done with all this.
Oscar says, "What about the haunted chair, the one they have mounted this by the ceiling at the museum so nobody can sit on it?" I am going to talk about that. I promise I will get to that. It's the second to last story. So Hope Diamond. So they find it in this mine in southwest India, and it makes its way to Europe. 1642, it gets bought by a French merchant who sold it to King Louis XIV. Now, apparently, this merchant that sold it to King Louis XIV...
Hugo says I'm breaking the law. I'm not breaking the law. I'm enforcing the law.
Okay.
I'm a policeman. I'm enforcing the law. Okay, sorry. Sorry for interrupting. I'm not breaking the law.
I mean, he gets excited.
I get excited.
Slasher Fred says James Dean's car is supposed to be cursed. Yeah, we had that discussion.
We had that car's gone. You'll never find it.
We had that discussion. But yeah, so a while back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so the merchant that supposedly sold it to King Louis XIV got killed by a pack of wild dogs, as one does. Now, the Hope Diamond was stayed in the French royal family. In 1792, it was stolen during the French Revolution. Now, famously, and this is, again, attributed to the Hope Diamond curse, Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette obviously both got their heads chopped off on the guillotine. And so a lot of people have attribute that to them having owned the Hope Diamond at some point. So after that, the diamond kind of like, they're not really sure where it was for a couple, for like 20 years or something. And during some time when it wasn't really in the spotlight, it got cut down to a smaller size. They think maybe during this time that it belonged to King George IV of Britain, and then got sold because the dude went into a bunch of debt, so they sold it. So the next time that it turns up is 1839. That was the guy that got it was Henry Thomas Hope, which is where it got its name. And after he died, apparently nothing bad happened to him, but he, he died, and then it kind of went to a bunch of different owners. Now, apparently everybody that's owned it, other than Hope, I don't know if anything terrible happened to him, but apparently there's all kind of like shit that happened to like fucking, everybody, like people were murdered, or they committed suicide, or they went poor, or whatever. So like I said, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier with like, King Tut's curse and shit like that. If you're like expanding the misfortune from just like creepy deaths to just general bad shit happening, like, oh, you went broke, or, you stubbed your toe, or whatever the hell, then obviously the curse is going to seem a lot worse than it is, because bad shit happens to everybody. So, but so you didn't necessarily have to get your head chopped off to have been considered to be like a victim of the curse. You just had to lose all your money or something, like, or go crazy, or get addicted to heroin, or whatever the hell. So, as I said, there's like fuck tons of different like cursed diamonds. Hope diamonds are the most famous, but there's always kind of like, and I guess what it is mostly who ends up owning these diamonds or these gems or whatever the hell. They're obviously, usually it's going to be royal families or very, very rich people who are kind of like, I guess more like in the public eye or whatever. So if something bad happens to them or their extended family, then people are going to hear about it. If just some Joe Schmo owned this massive fucking diamond who nobody knew him from Adam, if some bad shit happened to him, no one would hear about it because he's not like famous or rich or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like all of these gems that are supposedly cursed, yeah, if you go far enough back into, the French royal family, the British royal family, or whatever, you're going to find bad shit happening to people because that's just what, I don't know. And they're well known, so it's just going to get more heard about, is all I'm saying. So basically...
let's be honest.
What?
Some no-name motherfucker's never going to get his hands on some gem that size.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, so the fact that you have the money to have a gem, which the Hope Diamond, like I said, is like $250 million.
Yeah,
I've seen it in real life. It's big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that big. Which, like, for a diamond, that's like fucking. It's beautiful, but it's like it's huge.
If you have that, you're already going to be one of the kind of persons that they would fucking make a story about anyway.
That's what I'm saying. So, these gems, they get this reputation just by virtue of the fact that it's not just some random motherfucker that owns it. It's like somebody that's in a royal family, or somebody that's, a wealthy industrialist or something. You know what I'm saying? And obviously if something bad happens in that family, everybody's going to hear about it. So I think there's like a statistical thing going on there too. So basically what happens, I think, too, is that because diamonds are so, in the public imagination, are so tied up with wealth, and like you said, it's, it has to be like a very, very wealthy family that would own something like this in the first place. And I think that there's some kind of like, the reason a lot of these stories spring up about it is like a moralizing thing. You know what I'm saying? So you own this beautiful, like, really expensive thing, and, so bad shit's gonna happen to you. So it's almost kind of like a moral thing against greed, I guess. So that's why these, like, stories keep popping up. Because, interestingly, the thing about the Hope Diamond is that, yeah, everybody that owned it, supposedly, like, bad shit happened to them. But, apparently, if you are not greedy, like if you don't sell the diamond, if you just give it away, then nothing bad will happen to you. That's the story, because the last person that owned it was was Harry Winston. He was a jeweler. And he actually donated it to the Smithsonian in 1958. And nothing bad happened to him. So the story was going that, well, because he just donated it and didn't get any profit from it, then the curse wasn't effective. Which leads me to believe that the whole story of the curse is kind of like an anti-greed morality tale, is what it is. But yeah, so it's been in the Smithsonian collection since the 50s. So I don't know if you can still see it now. It's been like a while. It was probably like the mid-2000s, and I went to DC, and I went to all the Smithsonian museums, and I saw the Hope Diamond there. But sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, because they're, doing restorations or whatever. But it's really cool to, like, see it in real life, though. It's really cool looking.
What's the time? How long have we been streaming?
2 hours and 25 minutes.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Now I was going to talk about the Blue Diamond, but I think I'll skip that, because it's kind of like... It's kind of a similar story, all of the kind of, there's a ton of different cursed gems. You can look all that shit up. They're not all diamonds either, but almost all of the stories are exactly the same, which leads me to believe that it's kind of like an urban legend. Yeah. The gem was stolen from the forehead of an Indian idol, and then everybody and then the person that stole it, was eaten by dogs or whatever, or alligators. And then like it went to some royal family and all kind of terrible shit happened. So they're all kind of like that. So let's talk very briefly about, this is not an object necessarily, but I thought this was very interesting because I didn't realize this was a whole like subgenre of cursed object stories. Cursed phone numbers. I didn't realize this was a thing. Just goes to show, you learn something new every day. So the first one that I want to talk about is one and like a whole bunch of zeros out of like 9 zeros after it. Now this was supposedly cursed phone number in Asia. It's very, very famous. It's like the first one that comes up every time we like do cursed phone number. So apparently if you call this phone number and, don't do, or you can do it. It's like, but don't blame me. If you call this number, apparently a male voice will tell you to tell 15 others about the number. Now, this is supposedly like a dead person's number, or like, not a singular dead person, but just like the dead in general. This is like the dead people phone number. So if you get a call from it, because apparently it can send out calls as well, that means that you have a dead person that's trying to get in contact with you. They're trying to call you from the other side. So this is like the dead person hotline, apparently. Now, also, the Shades of the Ring, right? This is kind of why, because like I said, this is very popular in Asia. So the dude on this call supposedly says, if you don't tell 15 people about this phone number, then you're going to die within a week. Again, very much like The Ring. So I kind of feel like maybe that's where they came from. Now, this is the first one that I saw. This is a phone number in Bulgaria, and it's just 0 with like 9 or 10 eights afterwards, 0888888. Now, this number is actually supposedly a curse number. Now, the first person that owned this mobile number, the cell number, was a guy named Vladimir Granov, I guess. Now, he was the CEO of the cell phone company who was the carrier of the phone number. So he got that phone number, and he ended up dying not too long after he got this phone number from like a super fast-acting cancer. Like he got some really aggressive cancer. So then the number passed to the next CEO that took over after him of the company, and his name was Konstantin Dimitrov, and he was shot to death in the street. The number then passed to a third person. I don't know if he was the CEO or not, but it was passed to a third person named Konstantin Dishliev, and that guy was also shot in the street. And I don't think they caught the people that did it. So after these 3 incidents, apparently, this cell phone company decided they were going to retire this phone number because they imagined that it was cursed. So another cursed phone number, this one based in Marion, North Carolina. The number is 828-756-0109. If anybody wants to call it, don't blame me if you do. Marion, North Carolina, about 85 miles from Charlotte. Apparently, when you call this number, you'll hear kind of like creepy ass noises. Like you'll hear a dude giving you a message in what sounds like binary code, And when you decode the binary, it spells death. This one works only in the US. Now, some of these phone numbers, I will say, when you call them, you do actually hear the shit that is described, but some of them are later found out to be like ARGs or some kind of like viral marketing for a movie or something like that. So, you know, so sometimes you do call these numbers and you're like, holy shit, like there's some creepy shit. It sounds like somebody's being murdered or something like that. But it's not always what it appears to be, like I said, because some of it is like had to do with like ARGs and whatnot. So there's this other phone number, 408-634-2806. This was, now I looked this up, actually. It says, located in or around San Martin, California. This landline number is registered with an unknown carrier. Now this phone number has to do with an urban legend. This is actually called the Red Room number. This number, supposedly, if you call it, it tells the person at the other end where you are. And if you call the number, then someone will come and kidnap you and take you to a red room where you will be tortured and killed, and your death will be streamed over the web. Which sounds kind of like a David Cronenberg movie, does it not? It does. But yeah, I haven't called that. I probably would not call it, but I'm just saying, it was interesting when I looked that number up and it said it's a landline number, but it said registered with an unknown carrier, so I thought that was kind of funny. Stephen Jeffries, are you talking about 976 Evil? We need to review that one day. I put it in the poll a couple times, but it never wins. I haven't seen it in like fucking forever. I always liked Stephen Jeffries, man. I liked him from fucking, he was Evil Ed and Fright Night. You know, I was into it. Murder Corner Turn says, I'll call now. Say it again. Which one? The Red Room number or the first one, the North Carolina one that just has like the binary code spelling death was 828-756-0109. And then the other one, the Red Room one, that's supposedly you'll get kidnapped and tortured or murdered on a live stream, is 408-634-2806. So I don't know. Ben Frail said there are some great Korean horror movies about phones. Name escapes me. I think there's one called One Missed Call. I think that's kind of the most famous one, which actually is very good. Yeah, they do a lot of Asian horror. Like a lot of it has to do with like technology gone bad, you know, like The Ring and Pulse. That's actually a really good one. And I'm trying to think of like some other ones, but yeah, One Missed Call, I remember that one. But yeah, there's a lot of ones about like people fucking calling you and it being fucking creepy and shit. All right, so I think, how many more do I have? Okay, I just have like 4 more short ones, so Tom will be happy about that. Oh, you coming back? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm back. What is it running?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you thought I wasn't coming back?
Well, I don't know.
No.
You might have passed out in there or something. You just like fell asleep on the toilet or some shit. I don't know. So I have like 4 more like short little things about what you call it.
Use mice.
Okay. So these are just kind of like miscellaneous ones. So here's this one called the Bassano vase. Now this vase, or vase if you prefer, is made of silver, apparently made in the 15th century. Story behind it, it was given to a bride on the eve of her wedding. So I guess it was like a wedding present. But she never did make it to the altar because the night before she was supposed to get married, she got murdered. And she was sitting there holding the vase. I don't know why she was holding the vase, but okay. She got murdered like the night before. So the vase gets passed down through her family. And the story goes that anybody that had the vase died not long after taking possession of it. So a whole bunch of people in her family died. The family said, fuck this shit, put it in a box and stuck it in an attic somewhere. It turned up again in 1988, which again, this sounds like a story. Apparently, there's a note with it. I'm assuming that back in the day when the family packed it up, they put a note in it and said, "Beware, this vase brings death." So, you know, that's what the note said. Now, they auctioned the vase off, but they didn't include the note, which kind of seems like they probably should. Seems a little irresponsible not to, but okay. So they put it in the auction without the note. So a guy buys it, not knowing that the shit's cursed, and was dead within 3 months. 3 more people who owned it subsequently also supposedly died. But then I guess it ended up, like, after the last person died, like, it ended up going to, you know, whoever, like, the fucking estate agent or whatever, like, came and took it. Now, the story about this one, I guess it's a vase, but it has, like, a lid on it. So I guess as long as you leave the lid on... Ooh, Pookie's on the show.
Yeah.
Hi, Pook. She's like, what am I doing up here? I'm not on the floor anymore. Look at her little feet. She's like, okay, I will lay. She's like, stop it, Daddy. You're being so good. She looks kind of mad, though. I mean,
She just woke up.
maybe not.
She just woke up.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, she's cranky.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, so apparently while the lid is on this, it supposedly stays dormant. But the story behind it is that if you take the lid off, the vase starts essentially like attracting people to it that are like murderers, like serial killers and stuff. Like they get lured in by the vase's curse, and then they'll kill the people that own it. That's how the story goes anyway. So the next one I want to talk about is the woman from Lem. This is a statue. And this was apparently found in Lem, Cyprus in 1878. Supposedly about 3,000 years old. It's made of limestone. And they called it the Woman of Lem because that's, you know, the town where they found it, which is on Cyprus. Now, after, I guess, like, it started getting a reputation, so they started calling it the Goddess of Death. It's supposed to be a bit like a fertility goddess or something. So the first guy that supposedly owned this was a dude named Lord Elfont. Not like elephant, but kind of. This was during the British colonial occupation of Cyprus. Now, the Lord Elfont and 6 other members of his family supposedly all died within 6 years of getting this statue. After that, it traveled to another family. It got bought by a dude named Ivor Manucci, and all of his family died within 4 years of getting the statue. Then the statue moves on to another guy named Lord Thompson Noel. That's fabulous. And all of his family also died within a couple of years of owning the statue. Now, apparently the last private buyer to own this statue, his wife and 2 daughters and himself, died within a year. His sons survived, though, for whatever reason. And they still had the statue. And they were afraid that the statue was going to kill them. I mean, you know, rightfully so. So they ended up donating it to the Royal Museum in Edinburgh, in Scotland. But apparently, when the museum put the statue on display, the curator died within a year of handling it. Supposedly, this statue is still in the museum, at least as far as, you know, whenever this article was, which is just a year or 2 ago. And they keep it in a really heavy glass display case. You're not supposed to touch it because apparently it's going to fuck you up. So, all right, now we're going to get to the Chair of Death, which a couple people have, like, asked about. This is a pretty good story, actually. So, so there's a tavern, pub, called the Busby Stoop Inn. It's in a place called Sandhutton in North Yorkshire. Now, this tavern is supposedly haunted, and the haunting seems to be caused by what they call the Chair of Death. So this chair was supposedly the favorite chair of a convicted murderer named Thomas Busby. Now, 1702, old Thomas was on his way to the gallows in Thirsk, England. He wanted to pop into his favorite pub and get a drink of ale before he was going to get hanged or whatever. And he wants to go in and get a drink and sit in his favorite chair. Now, this guy had actually been convicted. He killed his father-in-law, whose name was Daniel Audie. Now, supposedly, this was a very chair-centric fella, I'm going to say, because supposedly he killed his father-in-law for sitting in his favorite chair. And so he strangled him. I mean, you know, as one does. I understand. Somebody sits in your favorite chair. Yeah, you're going to strangle a motherfucker. I see. I don't know if it was the actual chair that people claim is haunted nowadays, or if this was a totally different chair. It was like his lazy boy, like in his house. I don't really know. But he's just like, so supposedly he strangled his father-in-law for sitting in his favorite chair. So he goes to the pub on the way to the gallows because he's like, hey, you know, have a heart. I'm going to have a drink and I'm going to sit in my favorite chair for one last time before I get hanged. And when he sat down in the chair, just to be an asshole, just because he's trolling, he supposedly said, may sudden death come to anyone who dare sit in my chair. He's fucking serious about this being his favorite chair. Okay. So he goes to the gallows, you know, as happens. Now, story starts going around, particularly during the Second World War. The pub kind of became like a popular spot with, you know, servicemen and stuff. So, what ended up happening was that people that sat in the chair and then went off into battle, they would always die. And people started, it happened often enough, I guess, that people were like noticing. They're like, hey, everybody that sits in that chair, they don't come back from the battles, you know what I mean? You know, the story goes 1967, there were 2 Royal Air Force pilots who sat in it, and then while they were driving back to the base, they crashed the car into a tree and both died. And it wasn't just military people either, because apparently like some you know, local workmen or whatever, a couple years after, like in the early 1970s, apparently there were 2 bricklayers, and they said, oh, we're going to sit in the chair of death, you know what I mean? So they sat down in the chair, and then later on that afternoon, the one who had sat in it fell off a roof and died. So there was that. So this chair, they don't call it chair of death for nothing. Supposedly, everybody that sits in it, it kills them. And like in a pretty, and it's not one of these things where it's like, 16 years later. It usually happens like pretty soon after you sit in it. That's like the story. So they said like locally there's like a roofer who sat on it, and then like later in the day he went to work on a roof and fell off and died. There was a woman who was like cleaning the pub and she ran into it while she was mopping. She would sit in it, and she just kind of ran into it while she was mopping the floor, and then like later on she died from like a stroke or a brain tumor or something. So it happened so often that the guy that owned the pub was just kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this chair out of here because it's like tempting everybody. So he moves it down to the basement, like thinking nobody will go to the basement to sit in it. But because it had such a reputation, you know, people would still kind of try to do it anyway because obviously it's like a fucking dare. So one day there's this delivery man, and he was like, you know, delivering something in the basement, and he decided he was going to sit in it. An hour later, he was in a car crash and died. And then after that, like the guy that owned the pub was tried to give the chair away, like to a museum or something. And when they gave it to the museum was like, well, we don't want to like take any chances. So they hung the chair like 5 feet off the ground so nobody could sit in it. That's what people were talking about earlier. And there's pictures of it like online where they've hung it like up on the wall. It's because they don't want anybody sitting in it. They don't want to be responsible. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
I mean, you know, just be on the safe side, I guess. But you know, there's that kind of thing. But yeah, so apparently as of 2014, I don't know about nowadays, but apparently the museum is still there and the chair is still like hanging 5 feet off the ground because they don't want anybody sitting in it because they'll fucking die. You know what I mean?
Larry's making fun of me, says I'm lit. I can't stop moving. Look, I'm fucking loaded. I would never fucking deny that. Yeah, I'm loaded. I'm drinking. I'm gonna stop moving. I can't stop moving because when the show's over, I'm gonna go down there and cook.
Honestly, though, I have to. It's not even drunk because you move around a lot when you're sober too. Yeah. It's funny because when one of our really old videos, somebody commented on it the other day, like kind of joking. It's like the dude moves around too much, and I looked at the video. It was like from years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were just like,
yeah.
And you were sober on that one. That was like
I do what I want.
That was before we started drinking.
No, bitch just trying to control the motherfucker.
Danny Rolling Ghostface says Tom's like a shark.
I do what I want
If
to
he
do.
stops moving, he'll die. That's a good one.
Fuck you, bitches.
That's pretty funny.
Fuck you, bitches.
That's
Get off my channel.
That's pretty funny. Get off your channel.
Get off my fucking channel. Fuck you, bitches. I'm gonna look, man. I got shit I gotta do when the fucking show's over. I'm gonna go down there and make some taco meat.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Yeah,
I got that ground meat down there. The ground meat is thawing. Been thawing all day.
Oh, really? You thought
It'll be
about it?
succulent and juicy.
You said succulent.
Succulent and juicy ground beef. I'm gonna make something out of that.
Okay.
You want taco meat out of that?
What are my other options?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, if that's
More
only...
spaghetti.
I don't know. That was good. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel like.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm not picky.
We'll see. We'll see.
DJ Maniac says, please tell me this chair of death still exists. I need to take people to sit in it. It might, as far as I know. I don't know if that museum is still open. But like I said, they discourage people from sitting in it. It's like 5 feet off the floor. Like I said, I've seen pictures of it. Slasher Fred said there's a horror anthology film called Trilogy of Terror. Yeah, we've reviewed that.
Yeah.
That involves a woman who receives an African doll. Yeah.
That was
sexy ass Karen Black.
Sexy ass Karen Black with her fucking cross-eyed.
DJ Maniac said sexy ass Karen Black.
Sexy ass Karen Black.
That's what we call her.
It must not be a regular listener because like whenever Karen Black shows up, I fucking name her sexy ass Karen Black. And there's a story behind that. That was my dad's favorite woman. My dad.
You're my favorite woman.
Yeah. My dad thought that fucking Karen Black was just the shit.
Like I said, there is something like really sexy about her.
Yeah. Now that I've gotten older, I see what he's talking about. She was an unusual beauty. Yeah. She was sexy.
Man, I love Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah.
She was in all 3 of the stories, like playing a different character. Although my favorite movie of hers was Burnt Offerings.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that
was good
movie.
too. Yeah.
Oh, and she was also in like a creepy ass TV movie called The Strange Possession of Mrs. Oliver.
Yeah.
And that was good too. That used to be free on YouTube. I don't know if it still is, but I really like that movie. All right, last
My
story.
dad would have
What?
said, "That sexy ass Karen Black. I can't